but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. You can feel it.
Get up on out the bed and start to move your balls. Wake up with Word and Solomon Jones. Word. You better wake up now.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Wake Up with Word. It's good to be back, feeling revived, feeling refreshed. Kawesa, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
You look good.
Well.
Looking good.
Yeah. Hey. Man, I needed a break, Kawesa. I did. I needed to sit down for a minute and just not do anything. So that's what I did. And it was great. We went down to Jamaica. It was very nice. We enjoyed ourselves. And, so now we back in the saddle. I needed that, though. I needed to, get away and just, refresh, because nobody can just go 24 hours a day. And that's kind of what I was doing.
Yeah, no, definitely a much-needed vacation. I'm so glad that you enjoyed yourself. I'm digging the shirt, So.
Thank you. Thank you very much. How about the cup? You like the cup?
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah,
I like that. All right. Matching and everything. Okay.
That's what I told my wife. She was like, "Why you get that green?" I said, "Look, we coordinate." You know what I mean? She didn't understand what we was doing. But but yeah, everybody needs to take the time to revive and refresh. And for the past week, that's what I did. Because while it's easy to love our people, it's hard to talk about the injustice we face, to stand against the forces that harm us, to do everything you can to give our folks a fighting chance. Sometimes you know what's right, and our people are arguing down with what's wrong. Sometimes you know what's needed, and you have to stand back and watch folks bump their heads. Sometimes you don't know anything, and when you can finally admit that, you could be at peace. I'm not at that point yet, so I struggle to find answers I don't always have. But last week, I got on a plane with my family and sunk my toes into the sand. I floated on my back and looked up at the Caribbean sun. I looked across the table at my wife and smiled at her loveliness. I looked at my children dancing at a beach party, sitting by the pool, and allowed myself a moment of fatherly pride. Last week, I rested. And now I'm back to fight for what's ours, to stand for what's right, to talk about injustice, to celebrate achievements. But most of all, I'm here to love black people, because loving us is how we make things change. We got a hot show for you today on Wake Up with Word. Educator Tamara Anderson on the fight over critical race theory in Pennsylvania. You might also hear from Representative Chris Rabb. Dr. Delana Wardlaw and Dr. Elena McDonald have the latest on COVID, the vaccines, and the Delta variant. CNN commentator Roxanne Jones on the Olympics, the January 6th Commission, and more. And as always, we've got you, our listeners, calling in at 215-634-8065. A toll-free 1-866-361-0900. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at onWURD, or you can hit me personally at Solomon Jones 1. Watch us on Facebook at onWURD. But first, it's the big three, the news stories you need to know to kick off your day right here on Wake Up with Word. Story number one, the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack will hear testimony today from 4 police officers who were on the front lines that day as rioters supporting then-President Donald Trump violently stormed the U.S. Capitol in an attempt to stop lawmakers from certifying President Joe Biden's electoral win. The hearing will mark the first time the panel will have public testimony and will kickstart its efforts to investigate the events on January 6th. The 4 officers testifying, Metro Police officers Daniel Hodges and Michael Fanone, plus Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn and Aquilo Grinnell, have shared their stories publicly before, which account of being beaten with a flagpole, being the target of racist slurs, being crushed in a door, being tased by the rioters. The black officer, Harry Dunn, said this in a previous interview on CNN. He said the black officer struggle was different, as in, like I said, we fought against not just people that hated what we represented, but they hate our skin color also. That's just a fact, and they used those words to prove that. They showed that they hated us and they hated our skin color. I can't wait to hear from these police officers who are going to testify Kuwaisa today.
Yeah, I honestly can't wait either. I'm, going to sit back and see what they have to say, because I think that, the country needs to hear their stories. My biggest thing is, okay, so they go and they testify and they put all this information back out there again and tell us the stuff that we already know. What happens after that?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah. Donald Trump lies.
Right.
And his followers believe him, and his followers parrot those lies. I'll never forget. I knew that this was different when he was running for president, and we heard that tape, right, of him talking about essentially sexually assaulting women, right? And he said, "Oh, that's just locker room talk." And I knew it was different when I saw white women on TV saying, "Oh, it's just locker room talk." I'm like, "Oh my God, they repeat anything he says," and that's where we're at. And that's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to happen. So we're going to watch it. We're going to see. But, this has to have some kind of impact, and they have to figure out how it's going to do that, because the person who started it all, he's going to lie. His followers are going to repeat it. Story number 2, Pennsylvania, poised to become another battleground in the growing fight over teaching race and racism in public schools. 2 Republican state lawmakers have introduced legislation that would constrain how schools teach the concept of race and the conflict over critical race theory, or CRT, and it'll likely become a key part of the upcoming Pennsylvania governor's race. That has a coalition of educators and politicians who oppose the efforts to put limits on teachers, sounding an alarm. They worry that replacing Governor Tom Wolf, who's considered a liberal Democrat, with a conservative could be the difference between such a bill passing and being vetoed. My fear is that Republicans have already stated publicly that this is what they're running on in the 2022 campaign, said Tamara Anderson, one of many local educators organizing against these attacks with Black Lives Matter Action Week of Philly. So this isn't going to go away. It's going to continue. How prepared are we on this side, not just to go into battle, but to protect our teachers and our students' rights? We'll talk with Tamara Anderson about that a little bit later on. Chris Rabb also spoke up on it and said that if Governor Wolf is replaced with a conservative Republican, and remember, Governor Wolf can't run again, he's already had 2 terms, then this is going to pass. And they are going to succeed in stopping our children from learning the truth about race in America. I mean, I don't understand how y'all could even play at being a country that was founded without racism at its core. I don't even know how y'all could even pretend that that's the case. You wrote a constitution with black people counting as 3/5 of a person. You wrote a constitution that allowed slavery to remain legal. You pulled away from England because they had already been moving in the direction of outlawing slavery. You kept slavery as the core of your economic engine in this country. And so to pretend now that somehow racism was not baked into and is not baked into the laws of this country is just ridiculous. And I believe that black people have to teach our children at home. Other people teach their people, their history, their culture at home. We have to begin to do that. We have to really grasp onto that. We can't count on this system to do it. You've got your enemy, in some cases, educating your children. Now, there are many teachers who love our children, man, and they come in all shapes, all colors, all sizes, right? But there are some, and I've experienced this, who don't have our children's best interests at heart. And so you layer these laws on top of it, and you teach the children lies, right? And so, we got to fight against this, man. We're going to talk with Tamara Anderson about it later. But this whole thing is about maintaining the lie that America somehow had this age of innocence when, Kuwaisa, it did not.
Yeah, and I'm not here for any of it. I pride myself in knowing and being thankful for the fact that, my mother introduced my brother and I to books and made sure that we were knowing and understanding our history, black history. But I'll tell you, every single time I turn around, I'm learning something new. When Michael Kort was talking about George Washington, and we were lied to in school, and they said, oh, he had wooden teeth, and found out that he was using the teeth of enslaved Africans in his mouth, that was it for me. So I'm just like, it is vitally important to know and understand the hatred that this country grew from based on racism, based off the backs of our people. It needs to be taught. It needs to be known. And so then that way we don't walk backwards and repeat history, because that's inevitably what's going to end up happening.
Yeah, and that's what they want to happen. They want people to come up ignorant. They claim that, oh, if you teach this stuff, it's going to make our kids hate each other. No, it's not. No, what you're afraid of is that your kids are going to say, this was wrong, we are going to fix it. What you're afraid of is your own children learning the truth, right? And saying, no, this is not something that we agree with. And you see it already. Go to a Black Lives Matter protest and see who's there. It's not just us. And so what they're afraid of is that the more their children know, the more things will change. That's what they're really afraid of. They're not afraid that we're going to hate them or anything like that. If we ain't been hating you, it ain't going to start now. We already know these things. We need y'all to know. We need y'all to understand. We need y'all to accept, and we need you to act. Racism will disappear when white people, right, begin to act on it, because we already have. And so that brings me to story number 3. With gun violence in Philadelphia out of control, politicians and members of the media are calling on the mayor to declare a state of emergency. So far, the mayor's refused to do it, and unless we're talking about something other than flooding our neighborhoods with cops, I think he's right. And here's why. Declaring a state of emergency traditionally means bringing busloads of cops, imposing curfews, and stopping any and everybody. So do we really want the same stop and frisk we've been protesting against for umpteen years? Do we want more of the same cops who shot Brandon Tate Brown in the head, who shot David Jones in the back, who shot Walter Wallace in a mental health crisis, who went to Facebook and said they hate us? Yeah, miss me with that, because while some cops would come and do their jobs honorably, many of them are still angry that black folks protested, and those cops would make things worse. Remember what happened last time black people asked for more cops? We got the crime bill, mass incarceration, and a generation whose fathers are dead or in jail. That's what got us here. So while declaring a state of emergency might sound good, we probably would do better with a more targeted approach. If we know who the shooters are, charge them with something, hold them for trial, don't give them bail, then deal with the rest of the guys who are carrying guns because they're scared. Bring jobs to Philadelphia's poorest communities. Teach these guys trades and pay them for it. Give them an alternative other than the streets. Give them a reason to live. Because whether you know it or not, we're already in a state of emergency. The question is, what will we do about it? I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Question of the day, simply this: what should a state of emergency around gun violence look like in Philadelphia, if we should have one at all? I want to hear from you. Give me a call. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio, and let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about this morning. The other thing I wanted to talk about is this. Couldn't get into the top 3, but I think that it's important, right? So the Delta variant is spreading, and it's spreading quickly. It's prompting some people to finally go and get the vaccine, right? But some people are just, they're dying. Some people are just hospitalized. Some people are just, getting very sick because this Delta variant is spreading, and especially among the unvaccinated. And, we are fighting that battle in America and in many other countries. In France, they did something different. They're considering a law requiring everyone to have a special virus pass to enter restaurants and mandating COVID-19 vaccinations for all healthcare workers. Should something like that happen in America? Why or why not? I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think. Give us a call at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Should all healthcare workers have to take the vaccine? And should you have to have a special virus pass to enter restaurants? I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. I'm Solomon Jones. This is WURD Radio. We'll be right back.
Save the date. Thursday, August 26th for WURD Radio's annual Founders Day celebration, honoring the life of our founder, Walter P. Lomax Jr., MD. This year, we'll be both in person and virtual. Stay tuned to WURD Radio and WURDradio.com for more information. That's Thursday, August 26th for our annual Founders Day celebration. Exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com, the WURD Radio app, or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube.
Enterprise Exterminators, located at 4943 Wayne Avenue, has been in business since 1976 and can eliminate whatever pest problems you have. Enterprise specializes in bed bugs, lanternflies, and termites. Call for your free termite inspection today. Do-it-yourself kits are available. Enterprise Exterminators, servicing Philadelphia, Delaware, and New Jersey. Call now, 215-849-7070. Ask us about the WURD and senior discounts.
Are you looking for a job? WURD has got you covered. We just launched a brand new job portal featuring jobs from some of Philadelphia's leading companies and arts organizations. If you go to the portal right now, you will see jobs from WURD Radio, the Kimmel Center, Her Foods, Always Best Care, and more. Apply for a job today. Go to our livelihood website at wordworks.com. That's WURDworks.com and click jobs.
Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
This report sponsored by Audible. Some volume heavy on the Schuylkill Expressway eastbound. Bluebird through the curve, Gladwin to Belmont, again the Boulevard and through Girard. Westbound Jam Broad to Passyunk, again City out through Gladwin. Westbound Vine, delays 95 to Broadigan Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Southbound Boulevard, Route 1, you're busy from 9th Street down through Wissahickon through construction there. Volume getting busy. Southbound 95, Jam Cotman through Bridge. Again, Betsy Ross through Girard. Northbound looks good. 55 north of Jam there from Deptford in the 42. Make it a summer to remember with Audible. It delivers everything you love listening to all in one app. Stream the newest hot releases, bestsellers, audio originals, popular podcasts, and more. Start listening with a free 30-day trial at audible.com. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
Sunny skies and hot today, but turning less humid this afternoon, a high of 94 degrees. Mainly clear tonight, partly sunny tomorrow, though there is a chance of late-day showers and thunderstorms, and it will be more humid, a high of 88 for Wednesday. Mostly cloudy, a chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon on Thursday, up to 86. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
You're waking up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio, and let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show. So while I was away, I didn't do a whole lot in terms of news, but I did see this. And, and listen to this debate around a state of emergency. And, you know, I understand the sentiment, right, that we need to declare a state of emergency around gun violence in the city of Philadelphia. I get it. I get both sides of the argument, but I just keep thinking about history, and history really gives me a sense of clarity in the city of Philadelphia and beyond in terms of what happens in the black community. You know, when black folks start calling for we need more cops in our community, things generally don't go well, right? And I'm just gonna say it, you know, that things generally do not go well, right? I remember 1994. We were calling for the crime bill, and, you know, crack was ravaging our communities, our families, and, you know, we wanted something to be done, right? And so we wanted, you know, come and flood our communities with cops. But I think that we sometimes forget history. We sometimes forget what it means when black communities are flooded by police. Doesn't mean the same thing that it means for white communities. You know, white communities is, oh, back the blue, we love cops, you know, until the cops stand against them, and you see what happened on January 6th, right? But as long as the cops are beating black people in the head, you know, white people, oh, we love the police, oh, they're just, you know. But when they come into our communities in numbers, things generally don't go well. And so when we talk about an approach to stopping gun violence in the city of Philadelphia, it has to be about more than just we're going to flood the community with cops, because the outcome to that generally, you know, doesn't go well. Y'all remember 52nd Street? That just happened. That just happened when they tear gassed the black neighborhood, right? Y'all remember David Jones? Shot him in the back, running away. Larry Krasner right now fighting to change Pennsylvania law, or at least the way Pennsylvania law is presented by judges in court around that very case, right? Y'all remember Brandon Tate Brown? Shot him in the back of his head, tried to lie about it. Oh, he pulled out a gun. You know what I mean? Do y'all remember this stuff? Do you remember Walter Wallace in the middle of a mental health crisis, you know, shot multiple times by 2 police officers after they responded to the house 3 times that day? Should have known what was going on. Should have sent somebody to deal with his mental health issue. So when we talk about flooding the black community with cops, generally doesn't turn out well. And so, you know, I'm all for a targeted state of emergency, right? Where you talk about locking up the people who you know are the shooters. How do you know? Because they brag about it on social media. How do you know? Because you got cameras just like you do when white people get shot. How do you know? Because you already know what they've been doing. So you know who the shooters are, right? Lock them up, keep them locked up, and then deal with the rest. Deal with bringing some resources into our community to give people an alternative to the streets. Why are people in the street? You know, why are they out there on the corner? Why are they out there hustling? Why are they in the trap house? Why are they doing these things? Well, people need to eat. Real rap. And I know nobody want to hear it, and you know, but people need to eat. And so if there are no jobs, if there is no investment, if there are no loans, if there is no education, if there are no alternatives, what do you think they're going to do? And if you allow it to just stay that way, then it spreads. This is not just because there's a pandemic. This is not just because there's drill music. This is not just because there's these circumstances. Like, this stuff has built to this point over years. That's why it's not just happening in Philadelphia. It's happening all across the country. So when you set people up for failure, guess what they're going to do? They're going to fail. And those who are extraordinary will rise up out of that. Those who have support will rise up out of that. Those who have alternatives will rise up out of that. But other than that, you set up the people to fail, and then you cluck your tongue like, oh, man, why did they fail? You set them up. I want to hear from you. What should a state of emergency look like in Philadelphia if one is to be declared? Ken from West Philly is on line 1. Go ahead.
Greetings, comrade. How are you doing?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Pretty good. Hey, everybody, sir. We need to get that vaccination. I'm vaccinated. My significant other is vaccinated. My niece has this stuff. We don't know how she got it, maybe on the job. Nobody else in my family's got it. I got a friend, his brother just died about 3 months ago, I think it was. I got a person who died, white guy. His old lady went out to California. He ends up dying here. She's got the COVID. You know, come on, we got to get this real. I got people who are falling out. I got 5 folk up in New York, friends of mine that I can't talk to anymore because they are dead from the COVID. You know, these are white folks and black folks. Okay? We need to start looking at the reality. But the key thing on this is get vaccinated, do it now. And my position is put the kids into masks. I've seen adults, and I've been applauding them. They're out on the street with their kids in masks. And please, do not remove your mask indoors. And when you're outdoors and somebody's running past you, keep like about 18 foot away. When somebody's running or something, it really is blowing out a lot of this COVID virus. But, you know, at the other end of this thing, well, you know, in a city emergency might be one thing, but what type of city emergency? Inside of Philadelphia, if you got a city emergency, what you really need, and if you go out to Market Street, somebody please get down there to Market Street, where the L station is coming in at about 46th Street. You got people living under an L track. Now it's like 4 different little communities living under there. This is on Market. You know, right before you get to 46. We need to make sure that if you're going to have an emergency operation going on out here, that city government does 3 things, and they did it when I was in city government, okay? I was a worker there. First, they hired about 300 people. This was back when people were, like, going around talking about, I got a body, or I'm Homicide Louis. I got 5 bodies, all that type of stuff, you know, brag stuff. You hire about 300 folk. You put them on work day and night. You make that folk out there all the time. Nonprofits can't do this. They couldn't do it back then when I was there. That's why we got hired.
Okay, you got to get to the point, Kim. So they hired 300 people to do what, and then what?
And then you stop. I walked up to kids who had gotten slashed in the shoulder, put their shoulders back together, you know, at night after that. You have to have people out there who are trained, and the police are not trained to deal with this stuff. You need folks to do that. You got to get people out there to do that. You got to get government, Kenny, to get these people to do that. Then you got to go after the folk who are selling the guns. Because if you got a ghost gun, it didn't just come from me sitting inside of my house making it. I can do that.
Yeah, you had to order the parts online. I hear you, Ken. I want to thank you for your call. We got other callers we got to get to. Gary from North Philly is online, too. Go ahead, Gary.
Good morning, brother.
Good morning.
Great to hear your voice again.
Thank you.
And I think what needs to happen is there needs to be an intervention. We need to come together with groups such as the Man Up program and all the other programs that's out here. Your program needs to be funded. It needs to be funded because you put in a lot of time. And you know, them young brothers, they're going to need some money, some finance. So I think we need to put all our heads together, all the groups that's out here. We need to come together, have a viable plan, and then execute that plan. Not just a lot of police officers running around here. Love you, man.
Love you back, brother. Thank you so much for your call this morning on WRD. We just started a new Listening to the Streets cohort last night. I came back from vacation Sunday. We started a new group Monday. Got 7 brothers in there, man, that we are mentoring and preparing for employment and just talking through some things, man, around the issues of gun violence. We appreciate each and every one of them. And also those who are working to make that happen, man, our care team, our facilitators, our mentors, just everybody who's working together to make sure that these brothers have what they need to move forward. Cliff from Connecticut is on line 3. Go ahead, Cliff.
Hey, Brother Solomon, glad to have you back. Listen, without a doubt, I agree with that last caller. You are definitely, man, in the loop, and you're doing things. So if anybody should get the funding and be asked for consideration about what's going to take place, it should be you because you're already out there. And let me say this. This was happening here in Connecticut. What happens is that there's a history of the leadership going to civil rights organization, the NAACP. Now, you got a new president. I want to speak to her. You can speak to her. Find out what's on her agenda so you can coordinate. But without a doubt, you should be considered first. And so that needs to take place. So like that brother said, talk to the other groups, but definitely find out what the agenda is for the NAACP. Thank you, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate your call this morning on WURD. Of course, we just got new leadership for the Philadelphia NAACP here in the city of Philadelphia, and we look forward to seeing what they're going to do going forward. Because one of the things that has to happen, man, is that, older legacy organizations like the NAACP and others have to work with the younger organizations, man, because the kids are the ones who's in the streets. You know what I mean? In more ways than one. They are the ones in the street protesting. They are the ones in the street putting their lives on the line. They are the ones in the street raising their voices. I think older legacy organizations can support that with money, can support that with expertise, can support that with legal representation, can support that in many ways. I just think we all have to find our lane, man, and get in it. You know what I mean? And then we have to drive in the same direction, because when you don't, you have head-on collisions. I want to hear from you. Give me a call. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Of course, you can also weigh in on Facebook at ForWord at FORWURD. That's FORWURD. And let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
So we do have a few comments here. Deborah Dorn Carter says, good morning, Solomon and Kawesa. I hope you had an awesome vacation, Solomon. Good morning, Word family. Everyone, have a blessed day. Cheryl Brown, good morning to you. Thanks so much for checking us out. Diane Hamilton Mitchell, thanks for checking us out. Tell Sugar Lady we said hey. And then also Mark Benjamin, the arms dealers who are not reporting ghost gun sales until the gun shows up at a crime scene. Then they're talking about, oops, I forgot. To report that gun was stolen from my arsenal, and they should be criminally charged as co-conspirators to the crime in which that gun has been tied. So that is Mark's comment there. Lean Love says, caller and Solomon, what has the NAACP done about violence in black communities across this country? So that is Lean's comment there. And then we also have Muriel Revere Taylor saying, where are these guns coming from? Most of these kids don't travel outside of their communities. Who's bringing the guns into our communities? Could be the same entities that flooded our communities with crack cocaine. It looks like we have one of our guests calling in, so I'm going to toss it back to you, Solomon.
All right. Yeah. So, again, I think that part of what has to happen, man, and I've learned so much since we started doing the Listening to the Streets program. I've learned so much about what's happening, with our young people. And, when you leave people with no resources, and they come from backgrounds where they have no support, when the only thing they believe they have is the streets, and you show them no alternative, and this is on us. This is on us, right? Because you talk about what other people need to do and all of this stuff. No, this is on us. There are some things that we have to do. First of all, we got to parent our children. That's number one. But the other thing that we need to do is, if they are not our children, we need to be making ourselves available to help them, right? And so I'm going to go to the guest line. Council member Jamie Gaudier is on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm well. Can you hear me well?
I sure can.
Okay, wonderful. I heard you talking about the state of emergency, and I agree with you that we absolutely don't need to make that about cops flooding through our communities. But I also wanted to state the point that that's not what it has to look like, and that's not what I meant by any means when I asked the mayor to declare a citywide emergency on gun violence.
Okay. What did you mean? What do you think we should do?
I think we should focus all of the resources of the city, meaning the operating agencies, on the zip codes most experiencing gun violence. And last week I worked with our controller, Rebecca Reinhart, to pull those 14 zip codes that are seeing repeated shootings over and over and over again. We think there should be an emergency response group where all of the agencies in the city meet every day with goals and targets to see how they could bring down this violence. Every agency in that group would have a specific mission. So within that group, Parks and Recreation is focused on how they can extend hours in those 14 zip codes and offer as many safe activities for young people as possible. Maybe they even are adding other resources to recreation centers like social workers or job resources.
Well, let me ask you this question, because we actually have some guests coming up, but I need to ask you this question. In terms of providing city services, and I really just need a real answer on this. Yeah. Have you actually talked to the young people who are engaged in or whose lives are at risk in terms of these shootings about city services? Have you talked to them about it?
Me personally?
Anybody in city council and city government, have you guys actually talked to these? Because I'm gonna tell you what they told me. They said the recreation center is not safe because that's where the shootings are taking place. So if you're going to open up the recreation centers and say this is where we need to have, our people have some activities, how are you going to keep the kids safe, the young people safe in the recreation centers when that's where some of the shootings are taking place?
I think we need to have more adults present. So I think we need to have credible messengers in our community who could be at those centers to mentor youth, sort of like what you're doing. But I think we need to expand those efforts dramatically. On talking to youth, Councilmember Gim did host a number of focus groups last year with impacted youth. And the things that we talked about were jobs, were trauma counseling, were mentorship, were conflict resolution. Those are the things that I think we should be coming to the table every day as a city trying to invest in. Council also put $70 million in this coming budget for violence prevention. $20 million of those dollars will go to grassroots organizations like Man Up that have the credibility and the trust to really wrap their arms around youth and hopefully steer them away from the path of violence. So this is about having an emergency approach to providing our communities and our young people with the support they need in this moment to stay away from violence. It's not about over-policing. So I just
as long as we agree on that, I'm good, because that's never worked out well for us.
Absolutely, yes. I grew up here too.
Okay.
And I would never suggest such a thing for the people that I represent. But I do think that from a preventative standpoint, we should be coming to the table every day as a city to pour resources into the neighborhoods that need it. And that's what I'm calling for when I say a citywide emergency.
All right. Well, I want to sit down with you at some point and just tell you some of the things that we've learned. We have a white paper coming out in August, but before that, there are some preliminary things that we've learned that I think could be helpful in terms of, targeting what we need to do in terms of violence.
I would love to talk to you more because it's groups in the community like yours that are going to make a difference here, and that who we have to support.
All right. I want to thank you so much for your call as Councilmember Jamie Gauthier. We got to go to break. We're already over. We're going to talk with Dr. Delana Wardlaw, Dr. Elena McDonald on the other side. I'm Solomon Jones. This is WURD. We'll be right back.
AARP is working to protect Americans 50 plus by making sure you have the latest information about the COVID-19 vaccines and the distribution plans in Pennsylvania. Just visit aarp.org/PA vaccine to learn who's eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine, when, where, and how to get it in Philadelphia and the rest of the Commonwealth, and what you might want to discuss with your doctor. That's aarp.org/PA vaccine.
Hello, Philadelphia. Switching to Geico is a good idea, especially when you consider everything.
First off, Geico makes it easy to switch, and you can contact your local agent for personalized assistance.
But having a trusted insurer could make you question some not-so-trustworthy people, like the friend who says he doesn't want pizza, but when it comes, sure, he'll have a slice.
Well, if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds on car insurance, and you could keep saving by bundling your motorcycle, boat, and RV, plus your home or renter's insurance.
But saving money might make you so happy you start to skip everywhere, which could get you nicknamed the Skipper. And do you want that as a nickname? Think on it.
Well, they do have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver. And they offer discounts to military and federal employees.
But when your life gets a little easier, it makes you too carefree and you end up going barefoot everywhere, which is all fun and games until you step on a bee.
Well, Geico is the second largest car insurer in the country and has been saving people money for 85 years. It's hard to beat that.
But you're right.
Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea.
The Word Radio newsletter.
Keeping you informed, engaged, and connected.
Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on Word Radio. Messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese. Exclusive articles and multimedia content and resources.
Stay informed
with the Word Radio newsletter. Now, a traffic update
on WURD Radio.
This report sponsored by Audible. Volume getting heavy southbound 95. Cotman down the bridge. Again, Betsy Ross through Girard. You're out of jam northbound 95. No major problems there. Westbound Vine is busy from the Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Before that, also west of 95 to Broad. A bit of a slow ride. Schuylkill eastbound Blue River through the curb. Gladwin to Belmont Boulevard through Girard. You're heavy westbound jam. Broad to Passyunk. You're busy again the Boulevard out through Belmont. Southbound on the Boulevard of Route 1. That's slow. Approaching Broad down to Wissahickon through construction. 55 northbound Deptford into 42. You're jammed up there now. Make it a summer to remember with Audible. It delivers everything you love listening to all in one app. Stream the newest hot releases, bestsellers, Audible originals, popular podcasts, and more. Start listening with a free 30-day trial at audible.com. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a Word weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
Sunny skies and hot today, but turning less humid this afternoon, a high of 94 degrees. Mainly clear tonight, partly sunny tomorrow, though there is a chance of late-day showers and thunderstorms, and it will be more humid, a high of 88 for Wednesday. Mostly cloudy, a chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon on Thursday, up to 86. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. Joining us now, Dr. Elena McDonald, Dr. Delana Wardlaw. They are board-certified physicians, and they are twins. They join us to talk about what's going on with COVID. Doctors, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
How are you both?
We are good. We're well.
That's good. That's good. So, lot going on with COVID with this Delta variant, and I want to talk about it because we got a couple of questions we really need to get answered. The VA, the Veterans Administration, has issued a vaccine mandate for healthcare workers. It's kind of what they're doing in France. That's a first for a federal agency here in America. Is there a medical justification for that, and will we see more of it going forward? Dr. Wardlaw, we'll start with you.
Solomon, I thought this day was going to come. And unfortunately, in medicine, you know, when we take that Hippocratic Oath, our Hippocratic Oath is to do no harm. So we really have to do everything that we can to protect our patients. And that includes getting vaccinated because, again, that is the most effective way that we can get this pandemic under control. So I do see it moving. I do see it moving in that direction for other agencies. Because, again, we've shown right now that many people, when you give them that that voluntary status to get the vaccine, there are still many people who have not taken advantage of it. And again, our job in the medical community is to do no harm and to protect our patients. So I'm not surprised at all, and I do see it moving forward in other areas.
Dr. McDonald?
I agree with Dr. Wardlaw. Yeah. Of course, getting the vaccine it's a personal choice and it's an individual choice. However, institutions, especially hospitals and other institutions that's providing services, especially medical care to persons, and you are in person, face-to-face with them, you are required to protect your patient. You're required to protect your other employees. So one person has an individual choice, but an institution has to worry about all of their patients, all of their employees.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk also about schools. And Dr. McDonald, I'll pose this one to you. Because the school year getting closer, Texas has a ban on mask mandates for schools. Teachers fear COVID surges in schools. Are those teachers right to be concerned?
Absolutely, they are right to be concerned because we know that children 12 and under are not eligible to get the vaccine at this point in time. So those children are still not only at risk of getting coronavirus, but they're still at risk of suffering consequences from coronavirus and passing it on to other persons. So yes, the teachers have every right to be concerned. So if the children aren't vaccinated, then they absolutely should still be masked at this point in time.
So, I mean, so here's a scenario I keep thinking about. A child gets COVID at school. They bring it home to their grandmother, right? Or to their elder in the family, and the elder, gets seriously sick or, God forbid, dies. So, I mean, is that something that's being considered? Is that something that's being talked about, Dr. McDonald?
Well, it should absolutely be talked about, Solomon, because again, as we have seen throughout this pandemic, that children are not immune from this virus, and while they have not had such severe consequences, we've had hundreds of children die from it, and we've had thousands of children suffer from the multi-inflammatory syndrome in children, and of course, they can pass it on to their parents and their grandparents. And we do know that the vaccine is never 100%. So there's still a possibility you may still get coronavirus if you get the vaccine. However, we know this vaccine is preventing hospitalizations and deaths. So in order to prevent this virus from continuing to spread and continue to mutate, everybody who is eligible to get the vaccine should be considering getting the vaccine. Because what we have seen is that as long as the virus has the opportunity to hang around, it can mutate. And now we're seeing this Delta variant start to wreak havoc in the United States.
Yeah. Dr. Wardlaw, I want to ask you about Florida, because Florida now accounts for 1 in 5 new cases of COVID in the U.S. How did Florida get there, and what can that state do to get out of it?
Florida, Solomon.
Lord have mercy.
Again, Florida, they have low vaccination rates. Florida had issues, several months ago when we had a surge where, again, with them releasing their mask mandates earlier on, with them, not really keeping the restrictions in place for extended periods of time and easing up restrictions earlier than other areas. Florida, again, I think that need to get on the page of one. I think that they do need to go back to making sure that they get their mask mandate back in order with people who are vaccinated and unvaccinated. And two, I think that they need to really put in campaigns to get their vaccination status up. I mean, Florida is having the highest number of cases over the last couple of weeks. So we need to make sure that, well, the politicians and the medical establishment need to really pull together to do a concerted effort to make sure they are identifying these unvaccinated areas and making sure that they are encouraging people to get the vaccine, meeting people where they are. But yeah, Solomon, we talked about this, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago when you asked me why was I concerned about the mask mandate being released. This is exactly why I called Solomon. And it was just a couple of weeks ago When I said I was concerned about this Delta variant, Solomon, here we are. Here we are.
Yeah. And so, a lot of effort being put into children. And so I'll ask you about this, Dr. McDonald, as a pediatrician. Moderna doing a pediatric vaccine trial with children. They're talking about expanding that trial. How urgent is it to get a vaccine approved for kids?
I think it's very urgent because, again, the school year is starting back up. We are starting to send these children into congregate areas, and people want their children to go back to school in a normal manner. We cannot send our children back to school, put them in the classes in the same volume that they were before, allow them to eat together, sing together, go to gym together, play sports together, and everybody 12 and under still aren't vaccinated. So it's very urgent as we try to move back to a sense of normalcy. And we have all learned in the last year and a half that school is absolutely necessary for these children. We need to try to protect them as much as possible. So I think there is a sense of urgency to get the vaccines to the children.
Dr. Wardlaw, you want to add anything?
Yes, Solomon, I know that vaccination is a personal status, but as a saying that I've heard, with every freedom comes a duty. It is our duty to not only protect ourselves, but to protect our family and our community. So we really, really have to strongly encourage people to get vaccinated. Again, that is the only way we can see our way out of this pandemic, because we are not out of it yet, and the models are predicting that the numbers are going to continue to increase. And so we just have to keep our foot on the gas.
All right. Dr. McDonald, how do people get in touch with the two of you?
People can find us at Twin Sister Docs on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also visit our website, thetwinsisterdocs.com.
All right. Well, I want to thank you both for joining us this morning on WURD.
Thank you for having us, Solomon.
Thank you, Solomon.
All right. You stay safe, too. So we are going to go to break. And on the other side of this break, we are going to take your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. And let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065 is the number. I'm Solomon Jones. This is WURD. We'll be right back.
They're back.
Everyone's ready.
Platinum Shows presents the Dell Music Center Summer Series. Sunday, August 1st, it's Jeffrey Osborne. On the wings of love. Peebo Bryson. I'm so into you. And Regina Bell. Then Sunday, August 15th, it's the Basement Party with Big Daddy Kane. Baby Cool Mo D. EPMD, Nice and Smooth, the Sugar Hill Gang with a Furious Five featuring Grandmaster Melly Mel and Scorpio, Roxanne Shante, and Tough Crew. Then Sunday, September 5th, Labor Day weekend, it's the Party in the Park with the Whispers. Stephanie Mills. And After 7. Tickets available at the Dell box office and Ticketmaster.com. For more information, log on to ppshows.com.
Join WURD Radio for the 10th annual Black Star Film Festival, happening online and in person August 4th through August 8th. Enjoy over 80 films from around the world, as well as panel discussions and a daily morning show, virtually at blackstarfest.org. In Philadelphia, join us in person for free nightly screenings at Eakins Oval August 3rd through 7th, opening and closing parties, and an all-day series at the Man on Sunday, August 8th, concluding with a screening of HBO Max's Eyes on the Prize, Hallowed Ground. Black Star is the premier film festival highlighting Black, Brown, and Indigenous artists. For tickets and information, visit blackstarfest.org/festival. WURD Radio is a proud media partner for the 2021 Black Star Film Festival.
The holistic colonoscopy. No IV sedation. Your colonoscopy is due. You don't have someone to drive you home. You don't want to drink the prep. You don't want to be sedated with the Michael Jackson drug propofol. Does that sound like you? Call Blake Gastroenterology at 215-849-4902. Visit the website www.jsblake.com and make your appointment today. Drive yourself home after the holistic colonoscopy.
Be
Be there this Friday at the Summer Freedom Neighborhood Love Tour as Tiffany Bacon broadcasts live from the J.L. Wright Community Center, 3320 Haverford Avenue, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And stand with WURD Radio to amplify voices of the Black community as a digital 4WURD member for as low as $5 per month and receive a free gift for signing up. That's this Friday at the J.L. Wright Community Center, 3320 Haverford Avenue, or visit WURDradio.com. Start or renew your 4WURD membership today. This is WURD Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning and welcome back to Wake Up with WURD. You know, the world is inching back to normalcy, but our approach to educating our children may never be the same. Commonwealth Charter Academy, or CCA, has nearly 20 years of experience providing a flexible, stable online education in the comfort of your home. Enroll today at ccaeducate.me. Here are the benefits to your children and your family. 1, world-class education and accredited lesson plans streamed directly into your home at no cost to you. 2, laptops, headphones, and high-speed internet access, all provided at no cost to you. 3, a learning environment completely free from classroom risks like bullying and other distractions. CCA has been in our community long before this health crisis and will continue to faithfully serve students and families well into the future. Join the more than 2,500 students from Philly who already attend CCA. Enroll at ccaeducate.me. Okay, so we're going to take your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Al from the Northeast is on line 1. Go ahead, Al.
Hey, good morning, Solomon and Kawhi.
Good morning.
It's good to hear you back, man. I was missing something. You like my morning cup of coffee, man. I was like fiending, like, where's Solomon, man? I got to hear his voice, man. But
I appreciate that.
You sound rested, man, and that's good.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
You ready to get back to work? But I was listening to what you guys were talking about and about the rec centers and everything, and that's great. But you need some kind of presence there. Maybe not police, but maybe you can get some clergy or imams. A lot of guys are Muslims, so they need somebody they respect and revere so they won't revert to, nonsense. But you need somebody there. I mean, police ain't bad as long as they're not, overpowering. They're just monitor. And I was thinking back when we were young, they had a program called night school. It wasn't really night school. They would open up the local junior high and let everybody in the neighborhood go in there. You would go to the gym, you could go to wood shop, metal shop, and everything that the school offered, music, writing, typing, whatever.
Okay.
And it got just not just kids, but young adults would go in there. Everybody would congregate there and, maybe find some direction or some mentorship. But I don't know if that's economically feasible right now, but that people need access to training and jobs. That's, the pandemic has only exacerbated the situation. But I think a lot of these guys, just like that old book, No Place to Be Somebody, everybody wants to count. Nobody wants to be marginalized and thought of less than a person, but we need a lot of help. Like what you guys are doing, listen to the kids, that's the first step, and maybe we can find a solution.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. We certainly appreciate it. Jacob from Alney is online too. Go ahead, Jacob.
Peace be unto you. Good morning there, brother. Look,
good morning.
We missed you, but we understand, man. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, man.
You got to let it do what it going to do, as Ray would say, And I'm sure your wife, Levita, going to make sure of that because I know
that's right.
Do. Okay?
That's right.
Look, Friday we missed the song by Sister Kawesa. Lord almost fell out. The time passed, and I say, well, and it was a good show, but I'm just saying we still miss that voice. I was messing with Kawesa. I said, well, you took a little break on your voice, so that's good. You're going to be stronger Friday, God willing. Yesterday, Pastor Wilder was on for you, you know.
Yes.
And all of the hosts, was, just did an excellent job, man. I must say that. So
Good.
URD picking, the right people for the right spots for the right time, But, Solomon, look, the question, how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time.
That's right.
And that's what we got to do. We spreading out. We touching people. We it ain't we in training because we've been trained to do this already. But it's happening when people start playing up the good stuff from our people and our children more than, it bleeds, it leads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They into that type of thing. But it's okay. But that one person at a time thing, we hitting them from all over in time. In other words, our young people, all of us just got to hold on till the change come, right? Because the change going to come. That's me and you did it, right? Didn't we have a change that was miraculous from on high that just set us in another direction? You talk about being born again. That's what we talking about. So that one bite at a time, we biting. Just keep biting. Keep that mustard seed faith. And believe me, that mountain gonna move.
I know that's right. I know that's right. Thank you, Brother Jacob. We appreciate your call this morning on WURD. And I need to give a shout out to those who sat in. Was so glad to see Renee Chenault Fatah sit in, and I know she did an excellent job. I think Brother Shamari sat in as well, and Pastor Waller, and certainly thank them for allowing me to just take a break, man. I needed to sit down for a minute and just get myself together, because I can't help nobody if I can't help me. So I appreciate all of them and the excellent work that they did. Let's go back to the phone lines, talk to Frank from West Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Frank.
Solomon, good morning. Two quick things. One, as we say in the hood, the first thing is I hope you and everyone got their batteries recharged.
Yep, absolutely.
Good. You got to do that. And you can't complain about nothing about a vacation if you didn't enjoy it, number one. Real quick, Solomon, I have my sub friends over on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
About 7 guys. And we're sitting around eating and having a good time. And, I said, well, we all got our shots and all this. And one guy said, well, I don't believe in getting shot. I didn't get my shot. One out of 7 big guys. And I said, well, wait a minute, my man. How can you go to people's houses and you haven't gotten your vaccine?
That's what I'm talking about.
It's all right if you don't want it. I said, man, but you got to get up out of here.
You put him out, Frank.
So Solomon, I said, you got to get up out of here, my man. You're not breathing and laughing and joking in my face and everybody else's face. And I mean, you don't have to get your shot, but you can't go to people's houses.
No, you're right.
And spread that corona. And this is one of my pets.
What you tell you ain't got to go home, but
you got to get out of here. Now, see, people got to start telling other people that, it's like going to your house, Solomon, and I smoke cigars.
Yeah.
But if I don't see any ashtrays in your house, I got to assume you don't smoke.
That's right. I
told my best friend, you got to get up out of here, man, and you can come back.
Yeah.
You get the shots, but if you don't get the shots, you can't come back here.
I know that's right. I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD. And he's right. That's wrong, man. You can't be coming in people's house, man. You know you ain't get your shot. You ain't got no mask on. You all in people's face. That's not right, man. Come on, man. And he's right. If you don't want to do it, then you don't do it. But don't expose other people to that. I just, at some point, man, this is personal. It really is. It absolutely is, Kawesa. He said, you ain't got to go home, but guess what? You got to get up out of here. 215-634-8065 is the number. Olanian from Nicetown is on line 1. Go ahead, Olanian.
Good morning and welcome back.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm calling because I like to know, did you get the letter from me about Dr. Li Ming Yang and the coronavirus?
No.
No? Oh,
No.
okay. Well, I'll try to send it again.
Okay.
All right, take it. I know you told me to send it to you. And,
Well, what did the letter say?
The letter says that the United States of America, along with France, were funding the development of a coronavirus in China. And
is that what it says? And who wrote the letter?
I emailed that all to you. Who it was? I don't know their name right now, but I can email it to you again.
Okay. Well, what's the source?
I'll email that to you too.
Okay. All right. Well, you do that. Thank you for your call. Sister Murray from Northern Liberties is online too. Come on, man. Sister Murray from Northern Liberties is online too. Go ahead, Sister Murray.
How are you, Solomon? Welcome
I'm good.
back.
How are you?
I'm doing awesome. I'm so glad you took some time off. But guess what, Solomon?
What?
The show was rocking and rolling, but they can't put it down like you. You the man. You know that. You're on Coahuila. But
Thank
Solomon, listen to this. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
You have to realize that people who are still skeptical of taking the vaccine or doing what they really need to do, because from the beginning there was not a good leadership. The leadership, they fell us. So guess what? We're still struggling. We lost a whole year, Solomon. A year. Families are still struggling. Some people don't even have a place to stay, and you're talking about a vaccine. Let me ask you a question. Where is a safe house for children who are being put out in the streets? Where is a place besides DHS? Do we know any places? You know, these teenagers are being put out of their houses, and I know it's because they're acting out because they was out of school for a whole year. They're going through crisis. So we need to find other places.
Okay. Wait a minute. I'm not clear about what connection you're trying to make. So what are you saying? What is it that you're asking me?
Where's information that young teenagers can go to get help instead of just being on the street, because they're put out of their homes. So where are safe places that they can go so they're just not on the street? And then you know when they're on the street, they're going to get into some trouble. So if there is any place, the people who are listening know places, just call the radio station and just let us know.
All right. Thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Sometimes I just don't get the connection between what y'all be. So, there are a number of agencies that deal with young people. Project Home is one of them. They actually have several shelters that deal specifically with young people. And so I'll give that number out, a little bit later on. Tyrone from North Philly is on line 3. Go ahead, Tyrone.
Yes, how you doing, Solomon?
Good. How are
you? I was calling. I spoke to you at JV Auto some time ago, and I actually wanted to know about your program, Listening to the Streets.
Yes.
So I had called in a couple times, but of course you was on vacation. So I want to know now if it's too late. My son, I want to get him in this particular program.
Yeah, it's going to have to be in August.
Okay.
It's going to have to be in August. We do one cohort a month, 2 weeks right now, and maybe we'll be able to expand it. It depends on, whether or not, we have resources for that. But all of the, whatever resources we have go to the mentees. They get right now a $240 stipend. They come in for 8 sessions. If they complete all 8 sessions, we have a job offer for them at the end, and we connect them with a mentor so that they have someone to walk with going forward. And so our next cohort actually starts in August. And if you shoot us an email, I'll give you an email address. Are you ready?
So I'm driving actually right now.
All right. Give your phone number to Coahuila. And we'll have somebody give you a call back, okay? Thank you so much. We appreciate your call. If you want to get in, it's 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. We're talking about a number of things this morning, including our top 3 stories, which are story number 1, the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack. They're going to hear a testimony today from 4 police officers who were on the front lines that day as rioters supporting then-President Donald Trump violently stormed the U.S. Capitol to stop lawmakers from certifying President Joe Biden's electoral win. Story number 2, Pennsylvania poised to become another battleground in the growing fight over teaching race and racism in public schools. Republicans already saying they are going to run on keeping critical race theory out of schools, which is laughable because critical race theory is not in schools anyway. That's taught on the college level, not in grade schools, but they have taken it and made it into this boogeyman, right? Oh, they're going to make our kids think that all white people are evil, and that's not what it's about. It really does examine how laws and institutions perpetuate systemic racism in this country with an eye towards changing some of what has happened and what continues to happen in our various systems. But we'll see what happens with that. And we're actually going to be talking about it in a few minutes with a teacher and may hear from a state representative as well. Story number 3, with gun violence in Philadelphia out of control. Politicians and members of the media calling on the mayor to declare a state of emergency. So far, the mayor's refused to do it. And unless we're talking about something other than flooding our neighborhoods with cops, I think he's right, and here's why. That traditionally means bringing busloads of cops, imposing curfews, and stopping any and everybody. It's the very thing we've been fighting against. And I was glad to hear from Councilmember Jamie Gaudier to give some perspective to what she's talking about in terms of a state of emergency, because if it's just flooding the neighborhood with cops, that has never been to the benefit of black people ever in the history of this country. And I think we've learned that the various times that we've called for that. There have been some consequences to that. And I would argue that the mass incarceration that happened from the last time we called for that is one of the reasons why we're in this position now. You know, one of the young men that we talked to, man, in our program said something that just has stuck with me, man, ever since he said all our fathers and mentors dead or in jail. Think about that. Think about what happens when you lock up all the men in a community, right? When you come in and you over-police and you target people and you trump up charges and you do whatever you can and you just literally take all of the men out of a community. It's one of the reasons we're in the position that we're in now, you know. And so when we talk about a state of emergency, in my view, it has to be resources. It has to be other opportunities. It has to be jobs. It has to be economics. Why do you think people on the corner? People got to eat. And, you know, you can condemn it all you want, but people got to eat. And so, you know, if there is no other opportunity in their view, if they've never seen anything outside the 4-block radius of their hood, right, if they representing the block and haven't seen anything outside of that, what you think they're going to do? We have to give our young people, man, an opportunity to see more, to do more, to be more than just somebody standing on the corner and you know, carrying out these missions, man, like crash test dummy. We got to do more than that. I want to hear from you. Give me a call. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation. You can, of course, also weigh in on Facebook at 4WURD, at FORWURD. That's FORWURD. Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
So a few more comments here. Lean Love says, wow, says their fathers and mentors are dead or in jail. So that's her comment. Geraldine Mayfield says, good morning, Solomon, Jones, and Kawesa, and Word family. We also have Beatrice Sims saying good morning to us. And then, I'm sorry, I'm trying to, like, you know, what do you call it? Wean out the comments, read them before I say them out loud, just to make sure they're okay. And then we also have, Pauline M. Hall, how can I donate to Man Up PHL? So that's manupPHL.org.
Yes.
Right. So manupPHL.org. If you go there to the website, you can find the information there to donate, and also to volunteer and all of that jazz. Haley Alston, oh my gosh, I can't read everybody's comments. Okay, I'm sorry. We also have Michelle Tolanil. Good morning to you. Rebecca Truxton, good morning to you as well. Then we also, and she's saying welcome back. I know that a few folks had weighed in on YouTube as well. So Jean Nieves says welcome back and says morning, Black Brilliance Wisdom. So good morning. All right, back to you. Nikki O. Tim is saying yes, all healthcare workers should be vaccinated. The patient is healthy and goes to the doctor and contracts COVID because the worker isn't vaccinated. Unacceptable. Gary Thomas says, good morning, Kawesa and Solomon. And then also Joanne Kemp says the nursing home staff workers transmitted COVID-19 to their patients, so they definitely should be mandated to be vaccinated or go elsewhere. So those are just a few of the comments that we have here on YouTube and on Facebook. And yeah, back to you.
All right. So we're going to go to break. On the other side of this break, we are going to talk with our next guest about what's going on in the Pennsylvania governor's race and what the GOP is talking about running on, barring critical race theory from being taught in the classrooms when it's not being taught in the classrooms now. We're going to talk with them on the other side of this break. I am Solomon Jones. This is WURD Radio. We'll be right back.
I'm on the first train of the morning.
By 7:30.
I go in when it's dark.
Llego a las 5 de la mañana durante la semana.
From first thing to third shift.
SEPTA is the Philly way to go.
Plan your trip at iseptaphilly.com.
Berger Montague is a Philadelphia-based plaintiffs' class action law firm committed to helping Philadelphia's black community. Berger Montague maintains a strong commitment to fostering diversity and equity throughout the legal community and in society in general. In 2020, Berger Montague filed a pro bono case against the IRS when they refused to send COVID-19 stimulus checks to federal benefits recipients with dependent children. Thanks to Berger Montague, people across the United States were able to obtain dependent benefit checks that they desperately needed. Berger Montague supports WURD Radio and Philadelphia's black community. For more information about Berger Montague Law Firm, please call 215-875-3033 or email at info@bm.net.
So, what's the asking price on these houses?
You'd probably be more comfortable living somewhere else.
How long a lease is the landlord looking for?
Well, I'm sure you can afford to live here, but...
What are the schools like in this district?
Yeah, we have twins in the 5th grade.
This neighborhood isn't really for your kids. You know what I mean?
If you're black, Latino, Asian American, or Middle Eastern, and a real estate agent or rental agent says anything like this, you know what it means. You're being discriminated against. Housing discrimination because of race, color, or national origin is against the law. If you believe you've experienced housing discrimination, contact HUD. Go to HUD.gov/fair housing. That's HUD.gov/fair housing. Fair housing. The law is on your side. A message from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Now, a traffic update
on WURD Radio.
A couple of slow spots here in Philadelphia. Schuylkill eastbound, Blue River through the curve, you're slow. Then again, Gladwin to Belmont, again, the Boulevard through Girard, westbound side, heavy Broad to Passyunk through construction. Delays from the Boulevard out through Belmont, again around the curve, westbound Vine Expressway, Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway are slow. Southbound Boulevard, Route 1, delays there from Broad down to Wissahickon through construction. Southbound 95, that James Cotman through Bridge. Again, Betsy Ross through Girard, northbound moving fine. 55 North Deptford in the 42 out of jam. Looking for a job? Contact Express Employment Professionals and be part of their national hiring event with one application. Express connects you with multiple employers and never charges a fee. Go to expresspros.com, find your nearest office, and call Express today. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
Sunny skies and hot today, but turning less humid this afternoon, a high of 94 degrees. Mainly clear tonight, partly sunny tomorrow, though there is a chance of late-day showers and thunderstorms, and it will be more humid, a high of 88 for Wednesday. Mostly cloudy, a chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon on Thursday, up to 86. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. And we're talking about what's happening with the schools in Pennsylvania. It is the latest front in the battle over critical race theory, and two guests join us this morning. One is State Representative Chris Rabb, who joins us this morning. Good morning, Representative Rabb. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good, good. And the other is Tamara Anderson. She's an advocate for children and teens, an anti-racist trainer and freelance journalist with over 24 years of experience as an educator. Tamara Anderson, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. So, Representative Rabb, I want to start with you. I know you got to run. In terms of what's happening in Harrisburg with legislators from the GOP around critical race theory, what have they proposed?
Well, one in particular, Representative Russ Diamond and his colleague, his partner in crime, Barbara Gleim from Carlisle, have proposed in a bill banning critical race theory from being taught to kindergartners through 12th grade in public schools across the state. What they don't realize or what they don't care to acknowledge is that it is currently not taught in public schools. Critical race theory is taught really in a handful of law schools and graduate schools of education. So they're using the latest Republican boogeyman, critical race theory, to represent anything around providing diverse perspectives on our real American history that they're afraid of. They don't want to acknowledge that their history, the history that they embrace, is one of white supremacy and upholding systems of oppression. They don't want that to come to light, so they're using critical race theory as a shiny object to distract their voters from more important issues like voter suppression, climate action, raising the minimum wage, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. Now, their bill is House Bill 1532, and there's a political element to this with the governor's race coming up, and you talked about it in a story with WHYY. What do you think is the political element of this with the gubernatorial race coming up?
Well, it's about the direction of our Commonwealth and how folks in their base that are on the far right want this state to go, and where everybody else wants it to go. So they're believing that this is a bill that would address what used to be called back in the day by aggressively knuckleheaded people as reverse racism. I don't know if you remember that stupidity way back when, but well, that's essentially what they're saying. In the overview of this bill, they literally talk about teaching victimization among black and brown folk and teaching that white people are inherently bad. And there's nothing about critical race theory that does either of those things. And so much so that I went up to Russ Diamond on the House floor in the last week we were in session last month, and I said, hey, I know a lot of folks who teach critical race theory. How about I introduce them to you and you can get a sense of what it's really about? And he said, no thanks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So that's where we're at with this on the political side. And Representative Rabb, I know you got to run, so I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning, just to give us that perspective on what's happening with this bill.
You're very welcome, and the governor will surely veto it if it gets past the House and the Senate.
All right. Well, we'll be watching it now from a teaching perspective. You know, when you look at what's happening in Pennsylvania and really in other states across the country, Tamara Anderson, from a teaching perspective, what do you see with this bill and this kind of legislation being introduced in Pennsylvania?
Well, it has twofold. I mean, one fold is that, you know, Philadelphia is one of the few school districts where African American studies is a requirement for high school graduation. We're the only district in PA that has that requirement. And my other concern is that even though the House bill, you know, may will definitely get vetoed by the governor, there are already conversations happening at local school boards. Like, I've had teachers from Allentown, Reading, some other areas already contact me that they've gotten email from their superintendents, from their school board. There's been conversations encouraging, and I use air quotes when I say that, for their teachers to not teach about critical race theory, like sending letters to parents that critical race theory is not being taught. And so despite, like, the boogeyman, the political boogeyman, I think that as a state that has a variety of, you know, Pennsylvania flip-flops from red to blue on any given day. So I think that you already have this fear where teachers are like, so what does that mean, right? Does that mean that I can't do such and such? And, you know, because I'm also on the National Black Lives Matter School Steering Committee, we also have members on our steering committee who are already in states like Iowa, where it's been passed. And I sat in on one of their virtual teach-ins they had last month. And one of the teachers, a kindergarten teacher, was almost in tears because she was like, so what you're saying is that I literally can no longer teach about Ruby Bridges without being at risk of losing my job. Right? So you literally have teachers and parents. Like, I think one thing, too, we also, as a parent, you know, of a former Philly public high school kid, I think, like, a lot of the sound bites you hear on the social media and the tears coming from, you know, school board meetings where people are literally crying, like, I don't want my child to feel like they're racist. What we're not seeing is the other side of those parents who are like, but I want my kids to learn these things. Right? I want my kids to be critical thinkers, because that's really what we're saying. We're saying that because there's language in some of the bills, like in Texas, that are banning student organizing. So that means, like, you know, because I know you're probably familiar here, there's a whole PA Youth Vote coalition of youth that are going out registering people to vote, right? Those type of things could not exist if these type of bills are passed.
Yeah.
Like, it literally, you know, my fear is that it is outside of just the fear of, like, oh, I don't want you to know the truth about history. What you are really saying is you don't want students to grow up and be, like, critical voters or critical citizens. Really
Let me ask you this, as someone, you know, who is a teacher, what are teachers saying about this in places like Philadelphia, places like Pittsburgh, in the state of Pennsylvania? How are teachers responding to this push to ban something that's not really even being taught anyway?
Right. So what's happened? So the first thing that happened is a large group of teachers actually did a day of action on June 12th here and pledged to teach the truth, following along. So Zen Education Project and National Black Lives Matter School sponsored this day of action on June 12th, where they asked people across the country to select historical places. So we met at the President's House. It was about over 100 of us. Council member Kendra Brooks spoke there. A bunch of students spoke, and they pledged and talked about how they do not want these laws to come to Philadelphia or come to Pennsylvania, right? So that was the most public state we have. We've also had probably over 100 local teachers sign a petition that they are not support, that they do not support these race theories. We are currently organizing another day, a weekend of action, August 27th through the 29th here in Philadelphia. We're not sure where the location is going to be at, but we're trying to do a weekend of teach-ins where we're going to go to locations that will literally be illegal for us to teach about if these type of laws come through, right? To kind of have people to come and learn about the diverse and rich history of this thing. So what we're doing is we're kind of like decolonizing our curriculum and pushing back with exactly what we know how to do, and that's to teach and bring parents in too.
Let me ask you this, and I think all of that is great. Has there been any legal action taken? I mean, I know it's still in bill form. It's not a law yet, but is legal action being considered?
I would say yes, especially so another additional partner in this work is the African American Policy Forum, led by Kimberly Crenshaw. And we have had a series of meetings, coalition meetings, includes members of the NAACP, Legal Defense Fund, some members from ACLU. So I do believe that those are the next steps that people are pondering. Like, one of the things is we've been having conversations with NEA and AFT also too, to see just how they will protect teachers, especially teachers currently who are in states that are dealing with this, right? And also too, what type of language or lawsuit will be countered. Like, I know that I'm not sure about the teacher. There's a few teachers in Florida who have been let go, and they have reached out to the coalition for some legal advice, and I do believe they're at the beginning of that conversation. So yes, those conversations are occurring.
All right. We're talking with Tamara Anderson. She's an advocate for children and teens, an anti-racist trainer, and freelance journalist with over 24 years of experience as an educator. And we're talking about what's happening with the push to ban critical race theory from being taught in Pennsylvania schools. You said in the WHYY story that Republicans, your fear is that Republicans have already stated that this is what they're running on in the 2022 campaign. And so, the teachers tend to be politically active, tend to actually support the other party, not the GOP. So like, if this is what they're doing politically, then what are teachers doing politically? And is that something that's being talked about?
Right. I would say that for some, because the laws, like these laws are really happening lightning fast. Like in June, there were only 15 states that passed the law, and now we're up to 23, right? So it is like a well-oiled machine on the other side, which is my fear. The other side is like a well-oiled machine. Like if we look historically at this type of response, like the response to Reconstruction, the response to Brown Board versus Education, the response to a lot of red states turning blue this year, a response to the uprising last year. These responses are very similar if you really look at the trail of it. So for me, my very fear is that because teachers are human, and like you said, they fall on both sides of the line, right? The question is, are we equipped on this side? Because at the end of the day, they are literally attacking teachers. Like, you have some bills that include actual fines for teachers. Like I think Arizona is up to $5,000 if a teacher found out that they're doing anything with critical race theory. And the thing is, the critical race theory is like the buzzword. When you read the bill, the bill itself talks a lot about don't teach anything before the Declaration of Independence.
What? Wait, what?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like it's like the highlights are critical race theory. But when you really look at those bills, the bills are really asking you to avoid teaching actual things that happened in history.
That's crazy.
But I'm saying, like, that is really what it is. And, like, or like, not to talk about LGBTQIA rights. Like, so it means we can't talk about the lavender scare, which is a real thing, right? No matter what side of the aisle you fall on, there was a time that if you were LGBTQ and you worked for the government and you were discovered, you would get fired. That is an actual thing in history. Nobody's making that up, right? So now in higher ed, of course, you know, we're feeling a little shielded from it. But I also am like, how long will it take until we're not? Like, I work at a state university. Right? You know, there are states already connecting this to money, saying if you're teaching these things, you're going to do whatever. Texas is already changing, once again, their textbooks, which are already not the best in the first place, right? But they're already getting permission under this new thing to say, okay, well, now we're going to we're gonna talk about enslavement in a better way. What other way can you talk about it? Like these things happen, right? Like you're trying to erase the truth, and to me, it's really based on fear. Like and it's very divided. Like they use Dr. King's words all the time on the other side too. They're like, well, he wouldn't want us to be. You know, remember he said to not judge a man the content of their skin, but no, the color of their skin, but the content of their character. I said, okay, he did say those things, but that is definitely not what he meant.
Right, he's saying putting it out of context, and so we got to get ready to end. But you know, I guess the question that I should ask you is this: what are the next steps? What is so we know what is being planned on one side. What are the next steps to fight against this?
Right. So the next step is really, I've been advising or trying to tell people the big thing is like what you said, is to really look at what type of policy can be used to protect the state, right? Yeah. So something that just happened in Illinois passed this huge filibuster law at the state level, which kind of makes it almost immune to these CRT bills. Because in the filibuster bill, I don't know like all the details, but I do remember reading most of it, that it included things about teaching, you know, authentic histories, and as a result, literally 2 months after that bill was passed, Asian American studies became like is required for all of Illinois school districts.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So that is the type of things we really do have to look at. Look at policy, you know, try to really organize. If you are in a state or a city that has a union, start speaking with your union leadership to see what is their plan to protect you in the classroom. All those things. And, you know, also, I'm always about grassroots organizing, and make sure that we also include the voices of parents, because we're not getting all the parents. And as you know, parents are a very powerful voice when it comes to what should and should not happen in these schools.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on WURD. That is Tamara Anderson. She's an advocate for children and teens, an anti-racist trainer and freelance journalist with over 24 years of experience as an educator. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to go to break. On the other side, it's What's Trending, and then right back to your calls. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
A Night of Passion makes a married doctor question his assumptions about love, lust, and monogamy. In The Marriage Pass, a tale of domestic suspense from Brianna Cole, smart, sexy, and filled with drama. The Marriage Pass explores the boundaries of a relationship by taking the what if of a free pass. One partner's consequence-free night with their greatest temptation to a new level. Pick up your copy of The Marriage Pass by Brianna Cole today, everywhere where books are sold. And for more information, visit BriannaCole.com. That's BriannaCole.com.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen.
For late nights writing English papers.
For your teen's music taste.
For dinners, where they talk more on their phone than with you.
For the first time, they call you mom.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen, and you can't imagine the reward.
To learn more about adopting a teen, visit adoptuskids.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Save the date. Thursday, August 26th for WURD Radio's annual Founders Day celebration, honoring the life of our founder, Walter P. Lomax Jr., MD. This year will be both in person and virtual. Stay tuned to WURD Radio and WURDradio.com for more information. That's Thursday, August 26th for our annual Founders Day celebration. Exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com, the WURD Radio app, or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. You're waking up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Good morning. Right now on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Here's what's trending. Yo, that's crazy. On Wake Up with WURD.
The time has come. LeVar Burton kicked off his week of hosting Jeopardy last night. The beloved former Reading Rainbow host and producer who's known for his roles as Geordie LaForge in Star Trek The Next Generation and Kunta Kinte in Roots will be hosting through July 30th. The show is making donations equal to the amount of money won during each guest host's tenure to a charity of their choice, and Burton will be raising money for Reading is Fundamental, a literacy group that provides free books and reading resources to children.
And the family of entertainer James Brown has reached a settlement ending a 15-year battle over the late singer's estate. More than a dozen lawsuits were filed over the years by people trying to lay claim to the singer's assets. The fight over Brown's estate even spilled over into what to do with his body. Family members fought over the remains for more than 2 months, leaving Brown's body still inside a gold casket sitting in cold storage in a funeral home.
Wow. And reigning Olympic champion Simone Biles is out of Tuesday's team finals because of a, quote, medical issue, according to USA Gymnastics. The 24-year-old U.S. star, considered to be the greatest gymnast of all time, huddled with the trainer after landing her vault. She then exited the competition floor with the team doctor, and that is what's trending.
Oh, that's what's trending right here on WURD Radio, and we want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. My heart is broken for Simone Biles. Whatever her medical issue is, she is out and will not be in, I believe, that final competition with the rest of the team. Just heartbreaking. That and Naomi Osaka, she was playing for Japan, but she got bounced, out of the competition as well. She lost, and she is now out and will not be winning a medal for tennis. And so, kudos to her for getting out there, but she's out as well. So Simone Biles, Naomi Osaka, both of them out. And the thing with James Brown, though, that's ugly. That's ugly, Kawesa.
Yeah. That is 15 years?
You know what I mean? Come on, man.
The man been gone.
Mm-hmm.
And it just settled earlier this month. Like, what? And they were so, like, they were going back and forth so much that they couldn't bury him for 2 months?
That's what I'm saying.
Ugh.
That's what I'm saying. And, I don't want to judge nobody, but do you really care about him? Did you really care about him at all? You going to let him sit?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. You can't if you letting him sit there that long.
No, you can't. That's what I'm saying. You ain't care about him. All you care about is his money. It's ugly. I don't know, man. It's ugly. Have a will. Please have a will. Please. Anybody have a will, you know, and make sure that it is, you know, signed by 2 witnesses, make sure it's notarized, you know, do everything that you have to do to make sure that this kind of stuff doesn't happen when you leave here. Because the bottom line is all of us are leaving here. You know what I mean? So you might as well be prepared for that, to try to avoid some of this ugliness. LeVar Burton, no. Kois, I know you were waiting for this.
I was really upset because I missed it yesterday. I was like, ooh, Jeopardy. And then I was like, ooh, what time does it come on? Because, you know, I don't be watching Jeopardy like that.
I know you don't be watching Jeopardy.
But, yo, if LeVar Burton going to be hosting, you know I'm here for it. So I'm like, okay, let me see. Let me check the brother out. And I missed it. So I'm going to try to watch it tonight.
Yeah. We got to see LeVar Burton hosting. Now, he already put his bid in. He wants to be the permanent host. Give it to him. Who else you got? Like, come on, man. Who else you got? You know what I mean? Give it to LeVar Burton. Let him be the host going forward. Now, when we were in Jamaica, we saw there was an old episode of Jeopardy with Alex Trebek hosting. It just felt funny seeing that.
Yeah.
Like, it was just weird. But, yeah. So, you know, let LeVar Burton host the show, man. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning's show. Let's go to the phone lines, talk to Eric from West Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Eric.
Good morning, Salazar.
Good morning.
Yeah, you had mentioned something, and I had personal experience with it. You mentioned Project Home. I was in Project Home.
Okay.
And I think it's a beautiful program. You know, they got resorts up in the mountains, over on the shore, and they do good work. You know, people go in there, get clean and everything. I see the problem is that they use ex-addicts and they give them too much freedom. That's where the problem comes in at. So when you
What do you mean by that?
Huh?
What do you mean by that?
The using, the tricking, that's the problem. Late night in these places, they bringing in tricks and they use it. And these are the people that got the keys to the place that's supposed to be watching over the people who's trying to get clean and stay clean. So that's the dope fiend move. So
how long ago were you in Project Home?
This was 2000. I believe it was like around 2005. And Ready, Willing, and Able too. They using dope fiend. They switching people urine at night that they don't like.
Yeah, well, we don't. You know what? I don't want to trash the people program on the air. I think that if your experience was 16 years ago, certainly that's your experience, and you know I don't want to say that it's not. You know, and having been through some programs, you know, I see some of the things that people do, and it's not always going to be great. It's not always going to be wonderful, and some of that stuff is going to go on. But I think that you know, if that's 16 years ago, then we have to check to see if that's something that's still going on now, and we don't know that since neither one of us are there.
I'm in contact with him, so he want to cut me off, right?
No, I ain't cutting you off. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying this is the stuff that going. When I'm telling you this stuff, my spirit is not sitting good, man. I'm trying to tell you, people are lying. They doing things out here, and it's not being dealt with, man. You seeing children getting killed, man. This stuff ain't no joke. So I'm just saying.
Nobody said it was a joke. But you said that your experience was 16 years ago.
That don't matter.
It does matter.
You putting those things in positions where they can harm people.
Again, you know, I take exception to the term dope fiend when people have gotten clean, and you still call them dope fiends.
Because they still have.
Because the only way that you could be in that position, right, is you know you've passed the urine, you have some history of being clean. So they're not putting people who are in active addiction knowingly in those positions. Nobody's doing that. Come on, man.
Well, I know Sister Mary, and I ain't saying that Sister Mary and none of them are doing it because, like I said, the program works. There's certain people that do not need to be in positions that they are in. They are harming people.
Okay, I hear you. And if that's your experience from 16 years ago, then we respect your experience from 16 years ago. All right, and I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD. You know, what I would say is that, and again, I have some familiarity with both Project Home and Ready, Willing, and Able, right? When I was in Ridge Avenue Shelter, when it was still a shelter, God, it's 26, 27 years ago now, you know, that was run by Ready, Willing, and Able, by Dr. Outley, right, and others. And certainly there were people who were in recovery who were our counselors, and some of them, you know, still friends of mine. You know, and you always have people who are going to do the wrong thing, but for the most part, from what I saw, people were trying to do the right thing. And you got to give credit where credit is due, and certainly you got to fix stuff where it needs to be fixed. But to take an experience from 16 years ago and try to put it now, I don't know if that's fair. And I also don't know if it's fair to call people dope fiends who are in recovery and who are clean and who are trying to do the right thing. You know what I mean? I just, you know, now if some of that stuff needs to be uncovered now, certainly let's do it. But to try to take 16 years ago and say that that's what's happening now when you're not even there, I don't think that's fair. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in. Maurice from Southwest is on line 3. Go ahead, Maurice.
Hey, Solomon, I'm glad you're back, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Let me tell you something. I'm glad you exposed with Ms. Gardier that they haven't even talked to the problem. I noticed when you asked did she talk to any young people, she had to pause because they haven't. I've been talking about this for 2 years now about a massive summer school program. A work program, summer jobs, and seems like nobody wants to do it. You got to give them something to do. You can't tell people to put something down and stop doing something if you don't offer them something. You know, you walk down 52nd Street. It used to be entrepreneur heaven. And now you go down there, it's like almost like a skid row. You could count the vendors on your hand. See, that's the problem. Nobody has that hustle in them. Nobody has a dream. Nobody sees a future. And that's what you got to bring back. You know, we can't, like you said, we can't police this. We got to find alternatives, and it starts with the schools. You know, more programs that you can, when you get out of high school, you're able to get a job. You don't automatically have to go to college. All that stuff has ended. You know, I dealt with that when I was up at Gradyford with the young boys up there. And with the troublemakers, all the troublemakers, we gave them a job. And guess what? Not all of them stopped being troublemakers, but the higher percentage of them found something else to do. And if you don't have something for them to do, what do you expect to happen? So, Solomon, you're on the right track. You know, try to talk to these people down there, city council, or these so-called clergy people, because they keep like to talk about millions of dollars they're going to spend, but what are you going to spend it on?
I hear you, man. I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD. I think that, just there has to be dialogue. I think there has to be dialogue between the community and elected officials. I think there has to be dialogue between young people and older people. And I think we absolutely, man, I have learned this. We got to talk to the people that's in it, man. You know what I mean? To really understand what is going on so that we can understand how to address it. And so I want to thank you for your call. And I want to thank the council member for her call earlier. And we'll continue to try to figure out the best way to handle this, because, our lives are at stake. Our lives are at stake, man. Our kids are being killed, and this is not a game. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue the show with CNN commentator Roxanne Jones. She's going to join us on the other side. I'm Solomon Jones. This is WURD. We'll be right back.
For the past 10 years, Comcast has been helping students get ready. We've connected 5 million students from low-income families to low-cost, high-speed internet. We're working with both nonprofit partners and city leaders to create over 1,000 Wi-Fi connected lift zones in community centers nationwide. And now we're committing $1 billion to reach 50 million people with the connectivity, skills, training, and the resources they need to succeed in a digital world. Learn more at comcast.com/education.
Hope Partnership Middle School offers a quality, subsidized independent school education to students and families in North Philadelphia. Located at 2601 North 11th Street, Hope offers small class sizes, personalized learning, a research-based curriculum, dedicated teachers, and a graduate support program, which supports students through high school graduation. They are currently accepting applications for 5th to 7th grade students for September. For more information, please contact them at info@hope-partnership.org.
Build skills needed for employment through the Philadelphia Skills Forward Initiative, a free upskilling program for workers displaced by the pandemic, those whose jobs are at risk for automation, and Black and brown workers. Complete courses focused on digital literacy, career management, and professional skills for a successful career. Get started today at chamberphl.com.
Be there this Friday at the Summer Freedom Neighborhood Love Tour as Tiffany Bacon broadcasts live from the J.L. Wright Community Center, 3320 Haverford Avenue, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And stand with WURD Radio to amplify voices of the Black community as a digital 4WURD member for as low as $5 per month and receive a free gift for signing up. That's this Friday at the J.L. Wright Community Center, 3320 Haverford Avenue, or visit WURDradio.com. Start or renew your 4WURD membership today.
Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media. Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
This is a continuation of the mistreatment of black women in the United States. When I think of Black Lives Matter, I'm not just thinking of police brutality. I'm thinking about a whole law enforcement system screaming for reform. You can't tell me he didn't know something, and even if he didn't, he should have.
And now, Roxanne Jones, live on Wake Up with WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. Joining us now, Roxanne Jones. She's a former VP at ESPN, CNN opinion writer, Emmy-nominated producer, co-author of Say It Loud, an illustrated history of the black athlete, and CEO of the Push Marketing Group, a media strategy firm. Roxanne, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great.
Yes, you sound great. All happy and rested from your vacation.
Yeah, I had to try to get like you, Roxanne. I had to travel a little bit.
Listen, you look very beautiful in Jamaica, you and your wife.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sun looked good on you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We had a good time. We really did. Needed that really bad. And, you know, I guess I needed it even more because I come back to the news that Simone Biles is out. And, you know, she had just said, you know, I feel like I have the weight of the world on my shoulders at times. I know I brush it off and make it seem like pressure doesn't affect me. But, damn, sometimes it's hard. The Olympics is no joke. But I'm happy my family was able to be with me virtually. They mean the world to me. And then she does a vault. She comes up, you know, wincing. She's out. Naomi Osaka's out. What are your thoughts on this, Roxanne?
Well, you know, I think that, yes, it's disappointing maybe for fans and those of us who are rooting for them and the athletes themselves, but I do like the fact
that she and both Naomi talk about the pressure they feel, concerns about their mental health, being human, and that they are not forced to still compete injured. Because I remember, and I'm sure you do too if you've watched the Olympics, those little girls, those young women competing with broken ankles, broken hands, like being forced by their trainers and the Olympic Committee to still perform like they're racehorses. And so I do like that now they are saying more and more, and I think this started with Venus and Serena, saying, my body is important, my life is important, I'm bigger than this sport or these trophies, and when I need to sit down and take a rest, that's what I'm going to do. And so I really like that we're seeing more of that they are concerned about themselves as young women above just I'm a champion and I'm representing the country. I think that they are most important, their mental health and their physical health, more important than winning trophies.
And so the U.S. Gymnastics team just took silver rather than gold without Simone Biles there. But, I think it just underlines her importance to the team.
Absolutely. I mean, they can win the gold, almost any medal, just with her scores alone, right?
Yeah.
She's so far above and beyond the rest of the competitors. So, I mean, I don't know if this means now she won't be able to do individuals. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the medical report, so I'm not sure what her injury is. But either way, I do think that it's a new day for athletes finding their voice, young men and women, and saying that we have rights, to take care of our bodies, that we're not just, performers, that you're not just going to use our bodies until they're spent up and broken down, and then find replacements. And so I'm happy to see athletes speaking out about, as we talked before, their mental health, sitting down when they have an injury, taking more care and more agency over their own bodies and how they perform. So we'll see what happens with Simone. I know that it's disappointing for fans, but I would just say take a step back, and if this was your daughter, she was injured, no matter what, Olympics or whatever, what you going to tell her? Get out there and get on the balance beam, and who cares? Or sit this one out, let's see what's wrong with you, let you heal a little bit, and then make a decision on whether you're going to compete or not, or save it for, another year. Who knows? But I side with her.
Yeah, but you know what? It makes me think about Black women and the impact that these sisters have had in speaking out, because you didn't hear like Nadia Comaneci didn't say anything. You didn't have the white girls who won in America, they didn't say anything. You didn't hear anything but from them. They smiled, they tumbled and they went away. But these sisters are talking.
Right. They were robots. And let's not forget the whole sexual assault scandal that was happening.
That too.
So not only were these young girls, Simone included, like robots, but they were operating under fear, because they were being sexually assaulted by their trainers, and it was being covered up by the IOC and every other agency that was involved in women's gymnastics. So when I say I'm glad that they are now finding their voice and have more control over how they perform and show up for this Olympic Committee, which is rife with racism and sexism, then I think that that's a good thing. I think we have to look beyond our disappointment, be disappointed, yes, because we're rooting for her, but also understand that she's bigger than the Olympics. Her life means more than winning trophies for this racist organization or this racist country. I don't mean to be negative, but still, we have to put it all in context as we're talking about these things and let her make her own decisions.
Yeah. And, when you talked about the racism, made me think about Gwen Berry turning her back during the national anthem, and they oh, you shouldn't be able to. She's like, what?
Exactly. Right. So we're always torn because we're being a fan. We're some of the Black people are some of the most patriotic citizens that this country has ever had and will ever have. But we always have to balance our patriotism with fighting this systemic racism, with the racism that is always involved whenever we are operating in this country, especially if we're on such a nationalistic platform like the Olympics, right? Go out there and make your country proud. Go win for your country. Go do all this stuff. We just have to put her in context, right? What country is she? Who is pushing her to go and win? And is that the only time they want her to win? When she's doing flips? We have to want Simone Biles, Naomi, every other young black man, woman, child to win every day, right? Every day.
Every day.
So,
absolutely.
Again, I support her.
So I want to talk about these hearings, though, that are going to kick off today. The hearings on the January 6th insurrection. They're set to start today. Republicans want to undermine it. They're attacking two of their own, Representative Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney. These are the two Republicans who will serve on that select committee. Other than political theater, Roxanne, what do you hope will come out of these hearings?
Well, Solomon, you know, the whole thing is very disappointing to think that some white racist people could go and try to tear down, you know, could take over the Capitol building, maybe even take it over, and that there are no repercussions, that somehow what we saw on January 6th is turned into nothing more than like a pep rally, right? That, to me, is just such a pure example of not just white privilege, but racism at its height, excusing anything, death, murder, you know, anarchy, excusing it all because they were white people, right? So now the only recourse, since they weren't all arrested, as we know we would have been, beaten, arrested, killed, is to have these hearings. And so I'm glad that the hearings are going through. I don't want to belittle the hearings, if for nothing else, a historical point of reference. If they do nothing, then there's nothing even, you know, in the history books about investigating this and what happened is not acceptable. But it is a grave disappointment. I don't think that anything will really, I don't know what will happen. I don't think anything will happen. What are they going to do? Are they going to arrest the congressmen and other politicians who colluded with the supremacists? Are they going to arrest them and jail them? They're not going to do that. Can you see that happening? Because that's what I would want. So if you created, you know, anarchy, tried to take over our own government, assisted these people who committed murder, then you should be in prison. But they're not going to do that. Nancy Pelosi doesn't even have power to do that. I don't see our Justice Department doing that. They're going to, I mean, so whatever happens, it'll just be like an academic review of what happened. And there'll be some headlines coming out of it, like there'll be some shock and awe, when we know good and darn well it's not going to lead to anything. But I do want it in the history books that this happened, how it happened, where it happened, and we'll see where it goes. But short of sending them all to prison, the politicians, and putting them in prison, and every single person who was inside that White House, which we all see how their little trials are going, and then I think it's just being brushed off and let white supremacists be who they are, because this is who the country is. And I think it's very unfortunate for our democracy.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think this whole attempt to like revise a history that we just saw, to me, it speaks to the whole thing about the critical race theory thing. Like we don't teach anything about the 1619 Project. Don't teach anything before the Declaration of Independence. Don't teach about slavery. Don't teach about Jim Crow. Don't teach about any of the events that are happening now. And if you do, make sure that you present the white supremacist point of view too. Like, you know, if you want to try to revise history that just happened like a couple of months ago, imagine what they've done with the history that, you know, we didn't see.
Imagine. That's such a great point, Solomon. Imagine what we saw with our own eyes. And now you see how quickly white people in power can revise history. They don't have to be writing a book or be a professor or whatever. All they have to do is work in media, be a politician, hold a press conference, and they will tell us that what we saw with our own eyes wasn't really that. wasn't really white people trying to overthrow this democracy, wasn't a coup like we've seen in Venezuela and other countries, because we're not like that. We're a great democracy. They've rewritten it already. And that's why I think the hearings, at least for academic purposes, need to happen. Because we all know, just use our common sense, use your eyeballs. We know what happened. We know what happened on January 6th, and we know what happened at Black Lives Matter protests, at George Floyd protests, at the protest in Portland, protest for Breonna Taylor. We saw how black people are treated when we challenge this democracy and justice, and it was not the same. It is never the same as what we saw happen to anybody, politicians or protesters or anarchists or supremacists on January 6th. It's not the same justice.
No, it's not. And it was just so strange to watch. And every time I think about just sitting here in my living room looking at my TV and like in disbelief, you know, and seeing this whole thing, and then seeing Donald Trump get up and say, "We love you, go home." You know what I mean? Like, what?
Right. Seeing him stand up there and say that, and seeing him when he was talking about protesters and George Floyd, when he had the National Guard come out and clear out the protesters, when he was calling for National Guard to take over all the cities in America to patrol them. So again, this stuff is just common sense. It's so clear what is being held up here, white supremacy. And so we have to always keep our eye on that, and then go through whatever this process is. But don't let anybody tell us that the history from January 6th and long before that, since we arrived here, is not what it is. And you know, I really like the guest that you had, the educator, because we have to make sure history is taught in our school. I mean, it's even insane that we're talking about you can't teach history. You can't give kids the accurate version of how this country was founded.
Yeah. No, it absolutely is. We're talking with CNN commentator Roxanne Jones about the January 6th hearings that are going to take place beginning today. And they're going to talk to four of the police officers who were there. Michael Fanone, who was beaten within an inch of his life on the steps of the Capitol. One of the black officers who says that they were attacked with racial epithets. And you know, I want to talk about that black officer for a minute, because he said, look, the people were calling us the N-word. They were saying, they were showing us that they not only hated what we stood for in protecting the Capitol, but they also hated the color of our skin. And, you know, I'm listening to this guy and thinking about what they must have gone through on that day, these black and brown officers. Right. And it just shows all of it to me.
Right. It shows all of it. And imagine their horror, right? Because it's like a lynch mob coming after you. And you can't do anything. What can you do? And which is why, again, so representative of our patriotism, the one black officer on his own who stood down hundreds of protesters and anarchists to save Congress, to divert them, to keep them from going in and killing Nancy Pelosi as they were chanting. One black person did that. One black man did that. In the face of everything, terror, still stood up for his country and did that. And so that's what we know happened on January 6th, right? So I'm glad that they are speaking, again, for academic purposes. But still, anything short of every politician in Congress, every senator who colluded with those supremacists, and every person inside the White House not in prison, is a failure of this democracy.
I hear you. That's Roxanne Jones. She's a former VP at ESPN, CNN opinion writer, Emmy-nominated producer, co-author of Say It Loud, an illustrated history of the black athlete, and CEO of the Push Marketing Group, a media strategy firm. Roxanne, as always, thanks so much.
Thank you, Solomon. Have a good week.
All right, you too. So we got a couple minutes. We're going to take your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Those January 6 hearings starting today. What do you expect to come out of those hearings? What are you looking for in terms of results. I want to know what you think. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. You can, of course, also weigh in on Facebook at FORWURD. That's FORWURD, and give us your opinion there as well. Let's go to the phone lines. Talk to Tom from South Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Tom.
Good afternoon. I hope you know. I just watched you this morning talking about James Brown. It's all about business. Everybody say, "Won't teach you get a job." Can't you teach somebody they own their own business? We can work for everybody else. They can't work for ourselves. I'm down here in South Philly. You got lawyers and doctors on a Saturday. Although they love lawyers and doctors, they work on the stand. They got stands because that's where they come from. They work on these stands on bananas on Monday. They lawyers and doctors. But you know, I got a lot of respect for you, like Cecil Bourne. But I think you can't help nobody. You don't want to help yourself.
Yeah.
I see people got $2,000 all together. And I said, well, y'all is $100,000 with 10 of y'all. Don't y'all just they look at me like I'm crazy. And bought everything they can. They got tents on the sidewalk. I go like, we play the playing thing. We have a excuse for everything, answer for nothing. There's always somebody else that's sport. And like that school teacher, 96 years old, he said, Korean people come 10,000 miles across the ocean and go on Mike's Avenue and sell us chicken wings. And we can't sell chicken wings ourselves.
Yeah, we can if we want to, and I think you have to want to, and I think you have to understand it. And you know, this is another thing that I'm learning is that for many of our young people, they think money is the end rather than the means, right? And so money is a means for you to do things and for you to have things and for you to have an impact on your society, but it is not the end. The end should be what you do with the money, not having the money itself. Like that is the thing that's going to solve any problems, because it's not.
How the hell you on SSI and you got 3 iPhones? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I hear you, man, and I want to thank you for your call. We got to go to break. But I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. And, you know, I think that we have to teach financial literacy in our community. We have to teach the value of money. And that's why what Akbar Hassan does here on Fridays, what he does in our Listening to the Street sessions with these young men and, you know, all of that, that's so important, man, because for too many of us, we think money is the end. If I just had some money, okay, well, what you going to do with it? I don't know. I just need some money. You know, we have to learn that money is a tool and how to use it and make it work for us rather than us working for it. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue the show right here on WURD.
Morning, Mama. How you feeling?
Great, and I'm ready for you today.
I'm checking in on you. Morning meditation?
Check.
Dressed and ready to work out?
Check.
Check your blood pressure yet?
And check.
Boom! Great job, Mom. And about those gold earrings?
No, ma'am.
Now more than ever, it's important that we protect our hearts and the hearts of those we love. Monitor your blood pressure daily and help each other stay motivated. Rally your squad to take the online pledge at releasethepressure.org. Brought to you by the Release the Pressure Coalition and the Ad Council.
Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on wordradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on wordradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk Media. This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently black. Talk Media. WURD. It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I'm going to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. And, of course, just heartbreaking news, man. Simone Biles was out of that team competition. We'll see if she comes back for anything. But, you know, it just shows to me, Kawesa, the importance of Simone Biles to the team and to the country. You know, I love the point that Roxanne made. You know, America wants Simone Biles to win in that competition, but do they want her to win in everything else? Yeah. Great point.
That's definitely a great point. And I was over here like, you know, finger snapping. Oh, man, you know, because it's so real. You know, it's so very real. You know, for me, the biggest part is that, you know, and I don't know why I feel like we talk about this even like with voting and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, like the weight of the world is on, you know, black women sometimes when it comes to, you know, us wearing these capes and being superheroes and things like that. And that's exhausting. Yeah. That is a lot, you know. And so, you know, just like what, you know, Roxanne was talking about, you know, it's important to make sure that you are protecting your mental health. It's important to make sure that you are protecting, you know, your physical health. And for a long time, a very, very long time, you know, black folks in general, not just black women, but black folks in general, we ignore that. You know, we're taught to push through it and forget about that. And we shouldn't have to do that. We really, really shouldn't. And so, you know, I am incredibly sad for, you know, for Simone. I'm sad for Naomi. You know, I'm sad that, you know, Serena had to back out. Like, I'm just like, oh, man, you know, but at the same time, I also want them to, you know, continue to have a great and amazing legacy. And they're going to be no good to us if they get hurt or, you know, they have an injury that they can't come back from. And so, you know, I like I said, you know, I'm sad about it, but at the same time, you know, I think that this has been showing us, you know, the importance of making sure that we are protecting ourselves and protecting our mental health and protecting ourselves physically. And I think that that's really a major, major lesson that we all need to know.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You can't help nobody if you can't help yourself.
Right.
You know, you got to take care of you first, you know. And so we'll see. We'll see. But, of course, those January 6th hearings beginning today, and it is amazing, man. And that's how you know when you watch somebody literally try to tell you you didn't see what you saw, like, you know, try to change history that you just saw it a couple months ago, right? Sat right here, you know, looked at it on my TV like, hold up, what in the world is this? It was unbelievable to watch for hours these people assaulting the U.S. Capitol, nobody coming to help the police, you know, no National Guard. They got the National Guard out before we even get there. We heard it's going to be a Black Lives Matter protest. Get the National Guard. All right, they be right there. You know, these people were assaulting the Capitol. 5 people died that day. 2 more police officers committed suicide afterward, right? Just craziness. They out here killing people, and nobody's coming to help. Like, we watched it literally on our television screens, you know, and they telling us, oh, it wasn't an insurrection. It wasn't an attack on the government. It wasn't an attack on the Capitol. They were bringing flowers to the police. Really? Is flowers a flagpole upside your head? Is flowers a stun gun almost killing Officer Michael Fanone? Is that flowers? Is Flowers taking his gun and saying, kill him with his own gun? Like, this is stuff that's on tape that we saw, that we know happened, and you telling us it didn't. So imagine what kind of lies you telling us about stuff we didn't see. And that's what this whole battle around critical race theory is about. We want to keep lying to you about the history of this country. We don't want you to know because we don't want you to try to change it. Because if you try to change it, that diminishes our power. If you try to change it, that means that you can compete with us on an even keel. If you try to change it, that means that we have to live up to all of these things that we wrote down on paper about freedom and liberty and independence and rights. We got to live up to all of that, and we ain't trying to do that. You know, watching them lie about January 6th has been so instructive for me, because what it's taught me is that if you lying about something that I just saw, then how much more are you lying about stuff that we weren't there for? I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio, 215-634-8065. Let's go to Brother Hurt from North Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Brother Hurt.
What up, family? Welcome back.
What up, man?
Glad you black.
Thank you.
Glad your family had a good trip. China, America always been lying. They don't want to never tell the truth. I thought the truth would set you free. China, man, I got some bad news for y'all, man. If y'all sitting down, I need your prayer, man.
Okay.
Okay, here's the deal, man. Remember last week I called in talking about all that fish stuff? Well, I did lost weight, man. The restaurant I ran on the fish line, I quit. I went right across the street to the poppy store and got me 2 cheesesteaks and a V8. So keep me in prayer, man. Love y'all, man.
All right, man. Just keep eating the fish. Stop eating them cheesesteaks.
All right, man. Peace out, man.
All right, Brother Hurt. I appreciate your call this morning on WURD Radio. Yeah, you got to say the cheesesteaks for a special occasion, man. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get myself together, you know. So, now, Kawesa, are you still doing your thing? Uh-oh. Oh, Lord. Okay.
Not as much as I need to be. I gotta kind of get back on. I kind of fell off the horse a little bit. I gotta, you know.
Yeah.
I got one leg dangling, you know. So I backslid a little bit, you know. I will get there. I will get right again.
I hear you. Now, what I did when I was down in Jamaica, I said I'm gonna eat everything I want, and I did. But I went to the fitness center every morning.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I got on the elliptical, stayed on there for like a half hour every morning. You know. Then my wife had me walking down the beach. You walk down the beach, you can go, you know, past another resort, down the beach to these vendors, and you get down there and they pressure you to buy their stuff. So, yo. But it's a nice little walk. So we walked down there, sweated a lot, whatever. So I probably lost 2 or 3 pounds while I was down there. I ate whatever I wanted, but I made sure I was in that fitness center every day. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to eat everything that I want, but, you know, I'm going to try to get myself together, man. You know, we get to that point where we just, you know, we got to get ourselves together. So I hear you, man. And, you know, I'll be back at the cheesesteak place, but not every day. You know, my wife was showing me pictures on her phone. Like I was making cheesesteaks at home, Kawesa.
Mm-hmm.
Going buying the ribeye. You know what I mean? Buy the ribeye, cut it up, put it on video, you know. He's having a good old time. Buying pizza, wings, all of that stuff. Yeah. After a while, you can't do that all the time. You really can't. So
yeah, that's true.
You know. But let's go back to the phone. I want to hear from you guys. You give us a call. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let's go to Renee on line 2. Go ahead, Renee.
Yeah, good morning, Salma. Everybody. Welcome back, Salma. Glad you and your family enjoyed the vacation. Now you need a vacation from your vacation.
Yep, you're right about that.
I want to say, so far as our young people, when we had the extracurricular in school, like sports, music class, wood shop, economics, it seemed like our younger people were more occupied, and it wasn't so much as violence was going on during those days. Like when we was in school, you could play an instrument and stuff like that. I believe we as parents, we got to get our children more involved into activities, and we should push our politicians to strive for free programs like that. I'm not trying to say I want what rich or poor white people have, because a lot of things they want, it didn't work for black people, like racism. But I do want to say what did work for them that we do need, that white people have, we need justice and equality. And also, I'm not with this, they don't want to teach the brutality of what blacks have went through in this country and still going through. It's like saying like the Jews never went through their Holocaust, or like there was never a Hitler. We just have to keep pushing with our politicians to come up with stiffer laws on racism. And so far as Simone and Naomi, that's just, to me, it's just straight up racism. But I just wanted to put that out there.
All right, I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Shirley from West Oak Lane is on line 3. Go ahead, Shirley.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
It was good. Yes, it's so nice to hear that you're back and
thank you.
You had a wonderful time in Jamaica.
Thank you.
Let me say this to you. I just turned 80 years old, and I haven't been down in Jamaica since the last 4 years.
Okay.
So I know I miss it. I'm not able to go right now, but for the last 14 years, every summer I would go to Jamaica.
Wow.
And I love Jamaica. And I always stayed at one of those, I hope you had the privilege of staying at one of those all-inclusive.
I did.
Oh, wow. Isn't it nice?
It's beautiful.
It was beautiful.
Absolutely.
I certainly miss it. And it's so nice for a family to go down and to eat whatever they want to eat and drink whatever they want, and the entertainment. It's just a wonderful time. It's a wonderful time. So I'm glad you and your family had that opportunity. So
Thank you.
Take care now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I appreciate your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Lamar from Camden on line 1. Go ahead, Lamar.
Good morning, Solomon. Welcome back. I know there was a well-needed vacation, sir.
It was. Thank you.
What I want to know from this hearing is, you said it many times again about how the National Guard and how Capitol Police have responded to Black Lives Matter. I would like to know, what is the, use of force policy, deadly force policy with the Capitol Police and the Metropolitan Police? Because we have seen time and time again how local police see a cell phone and worried about their life. So I know that these brothers and Fanon maybe look at the face as those that were affected, but something's wrong with the matter that I've seen Capitol Police arrest handicapped people when they were protesting for the Affordable Care Act being banned. I remember they came out with the handcuffs and dragging people out in wheelchairs and things like that. I remember them arresting, just recently, some senators or Texas people for just a silent protest. So I'm like, if you can do that and you were prepared for that, what went wrong with January 6th that you were so overwhelmed and couldn't put out the full force that you've used for these particular events? What do you think, Solomon?
Yeah, I hear you, man. I want to know what the use of force policy is, too. And I want to know what the use of force policy was for that day. What did you tell them to do that day? And also, why did it take so long for the National Guard to come in? Now, we know that some orders came, out of the White House, et cetera, but we want to know specifics. Who decided not to send the National Guard? Who decided when they sent them not to arrest the people? Who decided not to send buses, put everybody in zip ties, put them on the bus, and take them immediately to prison? Who decided to let them just go home after what they did? Like, I need to know all of that, and why was the response to them so different than the response to Black Lives Matter? I need y'all to say that out loud, out of your own mouth, so we can hear it, right? All of it. So I hear you, man, and that's what I hope to see. I hope to see some truth.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely, man. Thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Gail from the Northeast is on line 2. Go ahead, Gail.
Good morning, Solomon, and welcome back. I see that your trip has done you well, and you went to Jamaica. Love it. I just want to say, when we look at this, the CRT and everything that's happening around it, we teach Black history in Philadelphia, but not everybody is doing it. And this is one of the things that you have to think about now. They're attacking something that you're not doing. So if you're not doing it, you better get on board and start really understanding how important it is, because it should be done. And all these museums, the African American Museum and all these other museums that we have that celebrate us, you better start contributing to them, because what they're trying to do literally is take them and wipe them out. Because your history doesn't mean anything. It's how we interpret your history that we want you to understand means something. And this is sick, because they're doing it state by state, legislation by legislation, school board by school board, and it is taking the power away from the people. And when you sit there and you do that, they are turning this into a communist country. And that's what they keep saying. Oh, no, you're a no, literally. They want a totalitarian society, And this is what is going to happen if people don't wake up and understand that your vote is your choice and it matters. So I'm looking at all that, and we have to be aware how they are attacking all these different people. They want to minimize our contribution, but you can't because it's glaring. They don't want you to know the history. They can't because it's glaring. But we have to understand that it's glaring, and we have to fight for it. Thank you so much, Solomon. Have a great
You're welcome, and thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. If you want to get in, it is 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. And let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065, of course, is the number. You can also weigh in on Facebook at ForWord at FORWURD. That's FORWURD. We're going to check out your Facebook comments on the other side of this break. I am Solomon Jones. This is WURD Radio. We'll be right back.
Between family dinners, bedtime stories, and study sessions, Pico knows that life never stops moving. So if you need help paying your energy bills, there are financial programs available, like the Customer Assistance Program, or CAP, that offers a monthly credit that can lower your gas and electricity payments. Learn how Pico can help keep your life moving with CAP. See if you qualify at pico.com/CAP.
Hi, this is John.
Hi, this is Juanita, owners of JD's Auto Body and Painting. We're located at 6300 Wayne Avenue, right there at the intersection of Wayne and Washington Lane.
We really like to thank all you WURD listeners for the support that you've given our business, and we really hope to see you in the future.
JD, tell them about our products and services we have.
We have a new state-of-the-art paint shop along with our body shop and detail shop. We can help you with the dents and scratches from the winter season.
Come to JD's Auto Body and Painting. Come on out and check us out. We're still honoring that WURD 10% discount. Give us a call, 215-848-5949. Again, 215-848-5949.
Thanks again for supporting our business. We really appreciate you.
See you at JD's Auto Body and Painting.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt, and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. We're, of course, taking your calls, but also taking your comments on Facebook at ForWord, at FORWURD. That's FORWURD. that is where you can weigh in and let us know where you are, these various things we're talking about on this morning show. Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
So a few more comments that we have. Norma Gowan says, good morning, everyone. I want answers, too, pertaining to the events on January 6th. Unfortunately, I don't think we are going to get them. Like you were saying, we saw this for ourselves, and they will still insist it didn't happen. I still hope we will find out, but I think it's not going to be anytime soon. Have a great day, everyone. So that's Norma Gowan. Deborah Dorn Carter says, Solomon, I still believe this is not all black on black. I still believe there is some outside interference. I can't prove it. I mentioned this last year. I still stand by this. Not only me, others, other people have talked too, believe that there is outsiders involved in these shootings. Too many innocent people are being killed or injured in these shootings in our neighborhood. So that is that's her comment. And then also we have here, I'm just trying to scroll through. Miss Cheryl says, great show as always, Solomon. Glad to have you back. Just know, she says, just know that Kawesa held it down with co-hosts. Thanks to all the guests and WURD listeners. Go out and spread some love, peace. So thank you so much for that, Miss Cheryl. I definitely appreciate it. Zen Motley says, in our past history, when black people get too big, no matter what it is, they got to be brought back in line. They cannot accept the greatness of black people. Examples like Black Wall Street, Muhammad Ali, Hank Aaron, now Simone Biles. They're saying don't get too great now. So that is Zen's comment here. And then also Linda Shields, good morning to you. Thanks for checking us out as well. And I know a little bit earlier we had some folks on YouTube as well weighing in. I was trying to grab the YouTube comments here. Looks like there's some back and forth between Frustrated Mechanic and a couple other folks on YouTube. So Frustrated Mechanic is saying, we're living in an age of technological advancement compared to our elders, and we continue to not engage by choice. We've turned into a culture of excuses. And then we also have Lula Khan saying, not disagreeing with you. She's saying, black people need to have to do better. A lot of us a lot of us are seen leading the charge. So that's a comment from Lola Khan. And then also we have here, sorry, I'm just trying to scroll. A lot of folks shouting Roxanne out. Gary Q. Hines saying, thanks for your great insight, Roxanne. And then also Lean Love is saying, Roxanne, Trump says that all Democratic mayors have high rates of crime and violence in their cities versus the Republicans. So that's what she's saying there. And then also she said, Kawesa, could these awesomely gifted black women backing out be a sign? I mean, I think that if anything, it's really just more so a sign of the fact that we as black folks need to make sure that we are, like I said a little bit earlier, protecting our mental health, protecting our physical health, and not allowing for ourselves to be exploited by, a country that doesn't always necessarily care about it. Like, why are we putting our bodies on the line for, I don't know. I feel like that's the sign. I don't necessarily think that it's anything, necessarily bigger than that. I think that the biggest lesson, though, is that we need to make sure that we're protecting ourselves. So, there you go. Those are our comments.
All right. So we appreciate that. If you want to get in, you can certainly give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio, and let us know where you are in these various things we're talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. People get hurt, man. You could push your body to a point, but after a while, your body's going to say no more. And, these athletes train hard. They train constantly. And, after a while, your body's going to let you know what needs to be done, And so, Simone Biles had an injury. Hopefully it's not a major injury, and we will see her back in competition soon. Unfortunately, probably not at this Olympics, but we look to see her back in competition soon, and your mental health. You got to look out for that too. It's hard being in a position where folks are constantly watching you and what you're doing, and having great expectations on you. I mean, it's hard. So you have to have some support. You have to take some time for yourself. You have to do some things for yourself, and I understand that, in terms of Simone Biles, Naomi Osaka, and the rest of these sisters that's out here, really doing their thing. And so, we pray for a full recovery for her, and look forward to seeing her in future competition. But, sometimes, we looking for deeper things, and it's not bigger than like your body is like, nah, I'm not doing it anymore. You know what I mean, Kawesa?
Yeah, no, I definitely know what you mean. There's so many athletes like Simone Manuel. I think she's a swimmer, and she even had she brought the team, helped the team get, I think, bronze in the relays for swimming. But for herself, her own she even had said during this year it was difficult, stuff was tough, and she had and I'm gonna mess it up, but she was basically overtraining. And she had to take 3 weeks off, in the middle of trying to practice and compete and make sure that she was ready for the Olympics. She had to listen to her body and take off. Another a black woman, and so she had to admit that. And she said, listen, it's been hard. It's been hard for black folks. It's been hard for just folks in general because of COVID. And so they're human. They're human beings. These are things that, folks go through. So I think you're absolutely correct, Solomon. Sometimes your body just is like, stop, just chill,
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Let's go to the phone lines, talk to Diane from South Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Diane.
Solomon, welcome back.
Thank you.
Oh, and listen, I sent you that video because right now we're in the process of getting Sugar Lady for swimming lessons, and she actually was swimming, treading water on her own. So this is a perfect example why the city needs to open up more pools in our neighborhoods for our children to have that opportunity. One more thing I wanted to mention while I was in Sarasota, Florida, I thought about you. We don't have, I think it's BNC, Black Network Channel, that Dr. LeVar Hill is on. He's one of the anchormen that's on there. And another thing, I wore my WURD T-shirt to Florida. Let them know we're here. Listen to us, turn us on, and tune us in.
I hear you.
Solomon, welcome back. Oh, my
Thank
God.
you.
Now, it took me a lot to say I might move out to Florida, but you got to have money. But still, I was afraid because black people spoke, opened up the door, asked me where I'm from. I said, yeah, I'm from Philly, where the 76ers didn't make it, and the Eagles were trying to fly away, but I kept it real and kept it black. Love you, Solomon. Sugar Lady.
Love you back. Thank you so much.
This Saturday is Dr. Lomax's birthday.
Oh, okay.
And my birthday, and our financial advisor, Akbar, is his birthday also.
Okay.
Leo,
all right.
Bye.
Well, happy birthday to all, and thank you for mentioning that, and happy birthday to you. We appreciate that as well, and thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. We certainly honor that. So 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Certainly want to honor our founder and his birthday. Dr. Walter P. Lomax, Jr., MD. So we appreciate that. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. The Olympics, man, and I think the men's basketball team, did they lose?
I think they did. Yeah, they did.
Come on, man. Come on, bro.
Yeah, they weren't.
But the women's basketball team, I think, did well. They beat Nigeria, but only by single digits. And so Nigeria coming up on the men's side and the women's side, because the men beat the U.S. team in an exhibition. And so, they coming up, man. Y'all can't just walk on the court and think y'all going to win anymore. That's over. That is over. So we will see. Yup, France beat the United States 83-76. Come on, bro. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? What are y'all doing? Lord have mercy, man. I'm thinking y'all going to help me get over the whole Ben Simmons thing, the Sixers, all of that. No, you're not. Losing to France. Come on, man. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. And let us know where you are, these various things we're talking about on this morning's show. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. What's wrong with our men's basketball team, Kwesa?
I mean, yeah, I was actually surprised that, they didn't do so well. But I guess, in my mind, I'm like, well, we gonna dominate. Mm-hmm. And that didn't happen. And I think that as we continue to watch the Olympics, we probably are going to see several upsets that we'll just need to kind of prepare for. So, I'm just, I'm getting ready for it. I am. I'm waiting for some of the track and field stuff. So I'm hoping that we can.
Y'all better stop that doggone losing. I know that. What you doing? Lord have mercy. I'm telling you, man. So we will watch. We will enjoy. We will, temper our expectations some. It has been a tough year. It's been a tough few years. And, you can't underestimate the destructive power of chaos. We've been in chaos for 4 years. And we just now kind of getting it together over the last 6 months or so. But we have been in a state of chaos, man, for 4 years with a doggone crook in the White House. So, I think that we will see what happens, but hopefully we will be able to right the ship. We'll be watching those January 6 hearings, and we'll talk about that tomorrow as well. But that's going to do it for today's show right here on WURD. I want to thank everybody who tuned in, and I want to thank all of our guests who joined us on the air as well, including State Representative Chris Rabb, Councilmember Jamie Gaudier, thank you for calling in, Educator Tamara Anderson, Dr. Delana Warlaw, and Dr. Elena McDonald, and of course CNN commentator Roxanne Jones, and now for super producer Kwesa Mathis and everyone here at WURD Radio, I am your host, Solomon Jones, saying stay tuned for Reality Check with Charles Ellison, and tune in tomorrow at 7 for more. Wake up with Word. Peace.